So, Kev,
What?
draft? What?
Stop bothering me.
Draft was a month ago. We haven't talked about it yet, though.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, fair. Let's not talk about the draft. No, we should absolutely talk about the draft.
This has been Kevin. This is Adam.
thank you for sliding into Virginia's DMs. That's the episode, guys.
I'm in a really bad mood. Even though I'm the one that asked if you wanted to record today. Leave me alone.
And we're the one that's like, oh, we can do the draft. I'm like, all right, cool, let's do that. We haven't done it yet. So yeah,
let's stupid draft.
Let's actually get our points up there on the draft. I think I skeeted a couple of mine, so I know some of mine are out there. But skeet. We should definitely talk about the draft editions, even though it's a little late, and we could probably just go over the roster stuff. But I do want to talk about it. So what overall thoughts, NFL draft in general, before we get into the Bears? Overall thoughts on this past NFL draft?
Overall thoughts are that 257 young men's dreams came true that day, and I think that's beautiful.
and really hundreds, if not thousands, had their dreams crushed.
That was really cool. Honestly, so I don't know. We've done some kind of draft preview stuff. We have the long ass mock draft that I know you posted.
Which also,
I think a lot of it, people acted like it was a bad draft. Like, the only team that like deviated hardcore from understanding that it was a bad draft, there's nothing you could really do about it, was the Rams taking Ty Simpson. I feel like, and then
the story comes out about like how McVay looked like at the presser. Did find out there was another story he did that for Stafford. So when I texted you, you were right. Because Stafford.
Yeah, I had a feeling he was doing an act for Stafford or something weird.
Yeah. So, I mean, hey, if you had Ty Simpson stock, Dan Orlovsky looks great. I mean, you've got less.
It's been almost a month, and I have thought about it. And Sean McVay changes his mind as to like what he likes all the time. It's a part of what makes McVay so cool. It's like, the nonstop 31 personnel and the heavy play action and little kind of noodle armed accurate quarterback in golf. And then just one day he's like, "Fuck it, I need Stafford," and he goes and gets Stafford. And then
he didn't pick
like I'm going to play heavier personnel. I'm going to run more. Like he just like decides on a new thing all the time. So like by the time Ty Simpson's ready to take over, will he even like the type of thing that Ty Simpson is supposed to be anymore? Like I just that part of it seems like I defer to them because they're smart, but I do think McVay is very fickle with certain things that he might not like what he projects Simpson to become.
I agree that he evolves his scheme quite a bit, but I do think there's still some fundamentals that he keeps within it, including attacking the middle of the field, trying to bring linebackers up, going behind them, underneath them, and switching over to like 31 personnel, right? Still absolutely it unlocks that even more. Yes, there was a point where I think he was doing a lot more drop back 11 personnel for like a year. I think the Super Bowl year actually. Then typical Shanny systems did. That was the first year that they had Stafford.
The Super Bowl year, yeah, they lived in 11 because they had Beckham, Cup, and
he designs it around his personnel.
I forget who they have.
As well as he designs it around the personnel he's got, as well as tries to get personnel to do things that he's evolving his scheme within. He's probably the one on the Shanny tree. He's evolved probably the most. Like LaFleur, I think still runs mostly the typical.
Oh, it's not probably the most. It's
easily the most. Yeah,
it's more than any coach in the entire NFL.
Like, yeah. I shouldn't even hold back on that. It absolutely is. Him and Mike McDonald on the defensive side have probably evolved both sides of the balls schematically more than any coach in the last 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So before trying to remember that a lot of stuff evolved before like 2016. So I'll say last 10 years. I just remember you had spread and you had the 4-2-5 and match zones and everything like that. So I don't want to go too far back. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I'll bring it up later.
Anyway, so I agree with you on that, but I might not agree on the sense that when it comes to like what he's looking for within certain positions, right? Like quarterback wise, I think with Goff, he was stuck with Goff. He thought he saw potential growth there. Goff didn't.
He seemed pretty all in on golf is I guess what I'm getting at, and then he just one day was like, I'm very much out on golf
Yeah,
to
I
the
think he
point where
saw the limitations were actual limitations at that point, right? Like that's essentially what it was. He's like, I need somebody who can.
yeah, but I want to I should point out that the irony is he was probably wrong. Like Goff is like a couple of plays away from us having a Super Bowl himself. Like or
Right, but if you're
another
gonna,
for the Lions.
yeah,
Like Ben Johnson made it work. Why couldn't McVay? If McVay's so smart. Like you know.
yeah, I guess my big thing is they were literally a couple plays away, closer than Ben Johnson was with the Lions with Goff. Uh, they lost that Super Bowl. Didn't am I blanking here? Didn't they trade?
That was 13-3. They never really seemed like they even seemed capable of
Right,
scoring.
but
That's where the Goff hatred started, I think.
right, but he did get to the precipice and then didn't get it. And then Stafford
Yeah,
the very
but
first
I'm saying
year.
like then Ben Johnson had an elite offense led by Jared Goff, and
We're getting deep into
that
this,
was fine.
we're getting deep into this, but I will add that Stafford was basically there for. I mean, you had the two draft picks, but then also dumping off Goff's contract. Stafford's contract, I believe, was cheaper for those years, if I'm not mistaken.
It could be. Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah. So
You're not
I
going
don't
to
know.
find
There's
the
gonna be
last
value. There's a
person
lot.
you're gonna find slandering Stafford is me. I'm just saying it seems like he can be fickle, and the other thing is Simpson is not like Stafford in many ways at all. So then he has to change a bit of what he does once Simpson is
Yeah. It
hopefully
is
ready
funny
to
because
take over.
I would say Simpson's probably more like Goff than he is like Stafford.
Yeah,
In the
for sure.
in
In
the
my
same
opinion,
he crumbles in the under pressure, right? So
I guess
they
he's
all
probably you know maybe a slightly better arm, a little bit more willing to take chances downfield than Goff, but like certainly not on the level of Stafford. So then it's like you're hoping that Stafford rubs off on Ty because nobody has Stafford's arm, but Ty has the arm to push it even more, I guess. So it's possible if Stafford's willing to do that.
Stafford also has
Um,
the pocket maneuverability. He's able to work a muddy pocket very well,
I
whereas
just do.
both Goff and Simpson both crumble once the pocket starts
Yeah,
to move.
Simpson's that's a big issue for sure.
Yeah, Goff has
Yeah, I don't
gotten
know.
a
I would
lot
just
better
say
at sticking in there and like taking a hit, but then when there's like free pressure or anything like that, that's where it really starts to like unravel.
I would say you probably have to do some things to what's my train of thought? Sorry, you probably have to do some things to unlock Simpson
He
because
doesn't have a
he's still rough around the edges in many ways. And the other thing is, again, just with the pick, if you were like, we have to plan for life after Stafford, and okay, you've talked yourself into Simpson, maybe that's not the worst thing in the world, but like, why not just trade the 13th pick for a future pick if you're like, because then you get into a better quarterback class. Like,
it was a draft
it's
class.
just weird to me that you're like, we're gonna do Simpson. I'm sure you could have gotten a 2027
Not a
first from someone.
I don't know, man. I felt like so trade ups, I believe, in the first round were like you got less value than you typically surplus value than you typically would in other drafts, and
They were
you
really
had
all
to
over
have
the
a player
place.
who
It was
was
weird the stretch at at the end, especially when the Bills kept moving down, but then other teams were moving around down in that area. The value was all over the place. It was
well.
weird how like
I
one team
think
took the
between
equivalent of like a fourth round pick, and another was like got the equivalent of like a second. It was really strange.
yeah, I think some of it had to do with that 16 to 50 range typically is a tier below your 1 through 16, right? Or even 1 through 12, then you've got a little less of a drop, and then you get that here's all your red chippers are typically at the back, right? Of the first round and middle of the second front and middle of the second round. You don't see a lot of drop off between 16 to 50. This draft felt like he had a couple blue chippers, but then everyone from there to 50 was about the same. So once you got into that range, it really depended on what you were looking for, what your need was, and then at that point you were trading up at about the same value that you would typically trade up for in other drafts. Whereas in the range that they were picking, I mean, wasn't there another team that was trying to trade out of their pick and they couldn't? I can't remember who it was. There was like it was that it was reported that they were trying to trade out and had no trade partners, and I can't.
My memory is a little hazy. I think the Browns wouldn't have minded trading back more than they did. Um, but they moved down to 9. I think maybe they would have. I think they wanted to maybe move back again. I can't remember anybody else offhand.
But
I
we are.
all the rumors, like all the stuff I was doing when I was like I was trying to write up my my grades, and I only got like halfway through, and I just was like, ah, fuck it, I don't care anymore. But there were things like that. I do know that.
I think it was the Titans, if I'm not mistaken, and then because they couldn't, they ended up going with. They decided to go with more of a sure thing than trying to take a little bit riskier with
So took Carnell Tate instead of
Arvell Reese. Yeah.
damn, I'm like
You had
forgetting
to
guys'
get a higher
names.
floor. Yep. That's I pulled up. It's been a month. That's why I was like, okay, we're gonna talk about the draft. I want to quickly. We're getting into something though that I did want to talk about before we get into the Bears, which is I did notice a lot of people talking about, oh, why are we taking low value positions? That was throughout the draft with all teams, right? Like this draft was known coming into it. It was not a draft that had a lot of prospects. I think we talked about it a good bit during our preview of it. It was a draft that wasn't known to have a lot of prospects in those premium positions that were worth those picks. So why not? And
I
it had blue chippers at other positions, or potential at least blue chippers at at non premium positions. So I feel like you go
I
through it, it's like how many tight ends win in the second round, like second and third round. It was insane.
that's
There
its
was a
own
run on
weird
it.
trend that we'll get to, but I would still say there was some major bag fumblings early on. Like the Cardinals taking Jeremiah Love is I love Jeremiah Love. I'm not strictly against taking a running back early in some cases. The entire context around them taking Jeremiah Love third is just unbelievably bad. I get it. You're not going to get like good players. You are already paying Jeremiah Love like he's like I don't know what like 80% of what Saquon Barkley makes. Like that's
Yeah.
so stupid.
Why am I blanking on the running back the Steelers took in the first round a couple years ago? From
Najee Harris.
Najee Harris. It reminds me a lot of the Najee Harris pick when going into that. A lot of Steelers tries to let's fix the running game. Let's get a running back. It's like that's not how your line sucked at that point. This is an extreme version
That's
of that.
that I would say is like well worn and like probably well understood.
Well,
And when you take somebody like Love, you're like hoping for like a Jameer Gibbs level of like it's
right,
not
but that
just to fix the running, it's to get like
Raiders
this
too.
weapon.
Raiders too.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you don't. And fair. That's fair. Jeremiah Love is a lot more than just. I mean, Najee Harris was an incredibly different type of running back.
Najee Harris was we need to fix the run game, so we're going to get a good running back.
Yeah.
Like that is what the Steelers seem to be picking. Like I don't think that's what the Cardinals were doing, but like you really, as the Cardinals, couldn't talk yourself into Mansour Delane or Arvell Reese or like an actual high value position that
Yeah, I don't.
also fixes like a bigger problem with your team. Like their problem last year was not really their running game. Like James Conner got hurt,
Yeah,
but
that's
their problem was that their defense fucking sucked. And there were solid guys. Sonny Styles. That's also low value, but higher positional value, more bang for your buck to take an off ball linebacker than a right. Like there's got to have been something else they could have done there. Like that is just take fucking Vega Ione at 3. Guards get paid now way more than running backs do.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, he's going to be the second highest paid running back going into it. Which, again, I mean, coming back to what you were saying, I'm okay with taking a running back that high if he's a Bijan Robinson, right? A Saquon Barkley. I can get it in that sense, and it's like, okay, fine. I guess I'm not getting surplus value. But if you're at a point where, like, with your roster, and that they can actually make that big of a difference, like say Saquon did for the Giants for a good bit on their offense, all right. Prior to all the injuries he had with them. At that point, sure, do it, go for it, get the sure thing. And with running backs, typically you're getting more of a sure thing than you are at edge, where it could be literally a bust. Like we talked about this last time. But with the Cardinals, I agree with you. It's like your roster needs so much, and I would almost argue that with them. With the Giants at that point too with Saquon. But your roster needs so much. What the hell are you doing? On top of that, again, I do believe their line has some holes in it now that they previously didn't. You're looking at you could have done a lot of things. You could have gotten an edge, you could have gotten anyone. And guard wise, you're right. The value's gotten way higher, and it is way more than running backs, and the center market's
That's pretty
starting
much
to look like
every other position. And again, I think Love is super is special as hell, but then they also have like they have Tyler Algier and they re-signed Connor, so it's like he's not going to get on the field that much as a rookie. You're going to waste some of his, running backs only have so many bullets. You're going to kind of waste a year of it going nowhere. It's just stupid to me.
Yeah, I mean, just thinking about it, like we this draft felt. I mean, we had a guard go in the first round, right? You had, I don't know if Sadiq would have made it as early as he did had it not been such a light draft when it came to premium positions. Jadarian Price also snuck his way into the first round. Like you had, and then in the second round, especially, you started to see more non-premium positions than you would typically in the early start of it. So like,
It hurts so much that I had to give two Notre Dame players who my memories of both of them are wonderful, especially Love, but I had to give both picks an F. That's not Notre Dame's fault. It's
not the
this
player's fault.
team's doing stupid things. And of
Yeah.
course, the Seahawks is 100 times more defensible than the Cardinals for
Yep.
where they did it. But also, Jadarian Price is just not a first round caliber running back. He's a second rounder. It's fine. He's a second round caliber running back. That's nice.
But I think that speaks to it. Typically, he would be a second round running back, right? But I think that speaks to what I'm trying to say here is like,
I think the weirdness, and actually I disagree with your thing on Sadiq. There are certain archetypes of player who always will end up around a certain spot. Like if a team wanted a running back, they would take Jadarian Price there. I don't think that the weakness of the draft had a lot to do with that. And I don't think sorry, what am I like Sadiq, the team, some team is always going to trick themselves into thinking a good 40 out of a tight end is really important. It's like I think Sadiq would have gone 60, like in most drafts.
Maybe, potentially. You think Max Iheanacho would have gone 21 in most drafts to Steelers?
If I was picking, but no, in general, no, probably not.
Like
a lot of the offensive linemen probably got pushed up a little bit.
So on that note, I'm basically saying that, and it's really more in the second round too, especially. What I'm trying to get at here is, because as we're going to go through the Bears draft picks, set up that base argument of like, hey, yeah, we took a tight end, yeah, we took a center. That was this draft. That was what this draft had. That was probably playing the draft board and the available prospects there. Premium positions are great until you realize they're premium because they're rare. So why would you take oh, wow, this draft actually has less of it. So now I'm taking even more risk by picking them there when I could take something that I feel like I'm a lot more comfortable with that can be a contributor.
You know what I think is funny? I think now that I'm looking through this, I think what actually was weird is that the top five, or sorry, it's the premium positions that got overdrafted the most in my mind. That's where the change was. Like every single guy that I'm looking at, like David Bailey went second. Like in a normal draft, he goes like 6th or 7th.
Well, that's just because of the premium positions still were going in the first round. It's just because of the talent level of them that they
that's what I'm
would have
saying.
been
Like
pushed
that's where guys are being overdrafted weirdly to me when I'm looking at this. It's like every guy that I look at like in a normal draft at a premium position goes a little bit later. Whereas like the Sadiqs and the Love, somebody's always going to trick themselves into thinking Sadiq or Love is worth that pick.
Right, and same thing with Iheanacho. Could go like not AJT. Who the hell was it? I mean, we've seen guards go in the back half of the second round or the first round multiple times that were overdrafted. He probably wasn't, but we've seen way worse guards picked at that point than Iheanacho, who's good. I'm not trying to say he's bad either. He's probably worth the pick. But what I'm trying to say is guard wise, we've seen bad ones go at that point. So you're right. That's fair. My thing too is like edge rushers, though. We saw the lower half, like the lower end of the range of edge rushers that typically go in the first round. I think it's between 5 and 7 typically go. And we had 2, 3, 4, and then you got to add Arrow Reese there. So 5. So you saw the lower end of that value.
Mesidor, Malachi Reese, Ruben Bain. Like, my God, none of these are first rounders.
Right, because there weren't like this draft didn't have them, which is to also set up we didn't take an edge. Yeah, no shit. Like what are you taking the risk with? And especially when the second round ones that would have been there probably weren't worth the trade up for what you would have got high end, but would have been fine with the pick that we had. They were all gone by the time we got the pick. So I want to set that up before we get into it. Let's start going into the Bears picks. Let's talk about one of our favorites. Then let's see about any other thoughts you want to talk about. Any other wild
Uh,
traits or stuff like that?
I don't know. We'll get there. We'll get there if
All
I
right.
can think of anything. But I don't know. It's kind of funny, especially the. I feel like the first rounds recently. The Bears do keep doing what I want them to do, for better or worse, right? Like,
Yep.
and it seems like pretty often, like there's like a guy that you're like, oh man, hopefully this guy falls. Doesn't seem like he's going to, but like a Dunze obviously was a big one, like a big one there. Um, Actually, I don't know
At
why
the
I'm
time
saying
of the
that.
draft.
Loveland last year, I was furious about, but uh, yeah, Thieneman, you kind of thought that he was his floor was. I actually predicted him 12th. Like I thought Downs would go higher because his floor was so low, and I thought Thieneman for the same reason because his floor was so high. I thought Thieneman for the same reason, like the Cowboys or somebody would be like, all right, screw it, let's just make sure we have a great defensive player here. And the exact opposite happened. I don't really understand how because there's so many players on this list that are absolutely not worth their pick. Where Thieneman would have gone 27th in any draft. I feel like.
I don't think the NFL has. So some coaches, there are some defensive coordinators that have started to really value safeties, right? I don't think the majority of defensive coordinators have started to value safeties in the same way that, say, like a Mike McDonald does. And that, or like what's his name from the Texans, the head coach? I'm blanking.
D'Amico Ryans.
Yep, he values that as well. So like in the same way that they would, I don't think most NFL defensive coordinators are. Same thing with linebackers, right? Like, and linebackers, to be fair, is because you typically do tend to draft the next team's linebacker. So I can get why teams are a little bit more hesitant. It takes a lot to develop both of those positions. However, safeties have been able to be impactful. You just have to know how to use them differently than using them as like a prototypical safety. If you try to use them as a prototypical safety, it's going to take a little bit for them to really develop in the NFL because of college schemes being so much more vanilla.
Yeah,
That
and
said,
as we
the
draft,
one that isn't is Oregon's. Dan Lanning runs a very complex scheme, which makes Thieneman a lot more NFL ready than you typical. And I agree with you, Downs. I would have thought Downs would have gone earlier. I mean, the same thing with like Sonny Styles. Um, it was an interesting draft in that sense that they kind of did get a little pushed down, but I think that still is that is a product of defensive coordinators as well as those positions being ones that are harder to get ready if you don't know what you're doing with them. Thieneman,
yeah,
and wait, and also funny enough, you just said Rome was one that we were excited for, Loveland being one that we weren't as excited for. Now, two whole data points to tell us how shit Thieneman's going to be a bust because we're super stoked for that pick.
sure, yeah. Oh, we are stupid. Like, I don't
I
turn the podcast off. We're stupid. We don't know. We don't know
we are
shit
dumb.
about anything.
We're dumb. But I think we both came into it like Thieneman is the guy that we want to come away from this with. I went and I watched some of his film, and the dude just it's the IQ, right? So I sent you some clips. His awareness, his ability even after the play breaks down to be like, I'm looking for where I need to be, and then having the football IQ to be like, oh, the quarterback scrambling, go. I see a wide receiver running down the field, go cover his ass so that he can't throw it to him, right? And then the quarterback gets sacked because he has no outlet instead of having a big play because he sees it all the way on the other side of the field. He sees a wide receiver seeing the scramble drill and running down the field. He runs across the field from one half to the other. And now the quarterback is like, I can't toss that, and I am getting sacked. Right? Like a play
And
like that.
he's very fast, so he's able
And,
to see it and go get it.
you know, and go get it. Exactly.
Cool.
On top of that, the his I think that people are over talking about like his missed tackles because he's such a damn good run defender. Like I'm watching this, I'm as I try to break down plays, I'm reading the same keys that I believe he should be reading, right? Like, and he's seeing it, he knows it, he sees the lineman he sees the lineman go into the run block, knows when he's in conflict, for instance, and holds, as well as knows when he's not. So for RPOs, if people don't understand, if you're a defender who's in conflict, you're not in the run fit typically, right? He knows the hold until he sees His eyes are still in the backfield, sees the handoff and knows that he can go run support and makes the tackle, even though he wasn't in the run fit. And on top of that, when he is in the run fit, it it's almost like he sees it faster than like I would expect most people, like most players too, that are actually good enough at this for me to be like, oh, hey, they're NFL ready. Like for a linebacker or a safety that reads their keys, which not a lot do because of specifically schematically, they try to make their assignment so much easier that they're not thinking, they don't have to think as much in college. He's sitting there and he's seeing it and thinking and going in, what's it called, hitting the alley if he's in the safety, or plays in the box and is able to scrape and shed, basically scrape across, right, as a safety in the box and make a stop. He knows that there was a play where they had the wide receiver doing basically an orbital, what's it called, comeback, a jet comeback motion. And he tells his safety that's following him, because they're in man. He tells his safety that's following him. I'm assuming they have match rules for this, because he says, no, don't, like, he communicates like, I got him now that he's coming back. That's a return motion, right? He tells him, I got him. You see him push out his arm and like communicate to him. And then on the snap, he goes to cover him as it looks like they're potentially running a quick out. And instead, and then realizes it's a run play because his eyes are still like going from the wide receiver to cover the quick out, right, to the backfield, and sees it's a run play, and now goes into, okay, now I need to maintain leverage. So he's maintaining his leverage outside so that he can contain, is able to scrape off and get to the running back who's running they're running an outside zone essentially. Go make the play, technically misses the tackle. It's a hard tackle to make at that point when you're playing contain as a wide receiver with as a safety with a wide receiver coming off the block there. The running back basically hurdles him. But if he was not there, that would have been a touchdown. Instead, he gives enough time for the support to come in. It's like a 1 yard, 2 yard gain. Like that kind of stuff is, and I think those are the plays sometimes that get missed, are the ones where it's like, oh, there was no throw. Or, oh, he missed the tackle, but did you see everything else that happened? Right?
There's a clean parallel and stuff like that, where it's like a baseball player is considered a bad defender if he has a bunch of errors, but what people aren't understanding is that he's there in the first place to even make the error, and therefore he's actually a good defender. It's shit like that. It's like,
yeah,
half the battle of being a good run defender is doing the correct things to be in a position to try to make a tackle, and if you miss it, well, you probably slow the guy down at least. Like, that's good. That's so much better than most guys.
I completely 100% agree. And it typically, with a safety, when you talk about like missed tackles, it's like, are you a willing tackler? He's a willing tackler. It's literally just, okay, let's make sure that on most tackles he's not dropping his head, and he's
I go so far as to say he's a willing hitter.
Very much so.
He brings the pain.
He absolutely does. Like, he's going to be, once you can fix a couple, just it's a little bit of technique issues. It's like, okay, I need to make sure that I'm wrapping up, and I need to make sure that I've got my head up as we're doing this. That's it. Otherwise, there were tackles where I'm like, damn, he just like knocked the shit out of the running back. Like, if that's his one flaw, considering everything else that I saw, IQ wise, athleticism wise, and in his ability to cover as well, like, and versatility, they do use him everywhere. In the box as a linebacker, even, right? Basically, not like in the box over a wide receiver, but like in there. I love this pick. I love this pick even more than I did coming into it after watching more of his film, or even some, really. Since that was the first time I got up to the all 22 instead of watching him like, college football live broadcast. So. Oh, any thoughts?
Yeah.
I know.
You said plenty. I like Thieneman since he was a freshman at Purdue. I mean, I was so psyched to get him. I didn't really think it was going to be. Not that I thought it was impossible, because I did see some mocks that did, end up accurately predicting what was going to happen with these safeties. McNeil Warren, I think his slide was maybe about 10, 15 picks more than most people thought it was going to be. But
We essentially needed the Vikings to pass on him for him to really have a chance because I think a lot of people pegged him there, and they ended up going with Caleb Banks, which is an understandable pick. It's just injury history, right? Like
The Banks, I mean, man, the Vikings get me every year. They're probably going to get me again. I love the idea. Well, I don't love the idea as a Bears fan, but I love the idea as a football fan of Caleb Banks and wreaking havoc for Flores because
he would have been my
yeah,
next.
Banks is the one guy in that range that like absolutely has like game wrecker potential at a high impact position.
I didn't consider the fact that like once Cinnamon got past the Vikings, he probably could have gotten to us. And so when
It was
Banks
looking
went,
good.
yeah, when Banks went though, I was like, oh shit, I don't think we're gonna get either. So I was really pissed off Banks went because that's who I wanted the Bears to pick.
The Panthers. I'm looking at this now. Once it got past the Panthers, that's
Hmm.
when it was like okay, most of these teams don't really need Thieneman. You saw the Eagles trade up, and for a second I was like, well, they're just smart and they could use a safety, so like maybe they're just going to smartly take Thieneman, but they instead smartly took a receiver.
Yep.
Um,
Oh,
yeah, and then
that's an
after that it
interesting.
was like it was just gonna kind of just be there for the Bears. And I again kudos to Poles who didn't have his lieutenant whispering in his ear this time, not to trade up, to not trade up, just to sat there and got a good player.
Yeah. Side note on the Eagles, gonna be interesting year for Jalen Hurts considering how they've built the offense. A lot of guys who really know how to target the middle of the field for a quarterback who targeted the middle of the field the least amount out of any quarterback last year and has had several different offensive coordinators. So it's not really a schematic thing; it's a Jalen Hurts thing. Coming back to it,
They've never run this scheme. Also, what do you mean? A lot of guys like to target. You're saying receivers who do good work in the middle of the field.
yeah, like to
Um,
work the middle of the field. I meant, yep.
yeah, I mean, I'll say this. I don't know what Sean Mannion is going to bring to the table other than some McVay, concepts or whatever. Uh, Lose my train of thought. That Ben Johnson turned Caleb into a middle of the field fucking demon. Like I'm not gonna say Jalen Hurts is incapable of it at this point. After I saw what happened with Caleb, it's not likely, but
I don't know if Caleb was allergic ever to the middle of the field though, in the same sense as we're talking about with Jalen Hurts. He was just more of a did not play on
mm,
time all the time than a I'm not willing to throw in the middle of the field. Like
but I think it's probably fair to say that things are. It's a similar issue with Hurts sometimes. Like
I'm
I don't know if it's I don't know if it's allergies for. So Justin
I
Fields, for
know.
example, is definitely allergic to it. He was afraid to
Yeah.
throw there. He didn't want to risk an interception. I think Caleb definitely developed that like early in games as a rookie. I think he just didn't want to risk any turnovers, and he played that way. He was extremely turnover averse.
Well, we also had an
Um,
offensive scheme that was basically attacking the flats constantly and not really like his first year. And then also at USC, I mean, I'd have to rewatch a lot of it, but the that offense is incredibly different. It's not one that would work in like the NFL, for instance, just because of the different rules with like RPOs, etc. Um, there's a lot of differences there. On top of like the fact that his USC offensive line couldn't block for even a second, he was constantly under duress, so he had to play off schedule. But I don't know. I think there's a little bit of a difference there, in the sense that like I can't speak from watching Jalen Hurts film, but from the people who have that I listen to that I trust, it does sound like it's just a thing where it's like even if it's open, he's not looking to it. He's playing a
he's
lot of
not
like the
looking to it.
Russell
I remember
Wilson trend.
he made a big throw against I think the Cowboys. Maybe it was the Cowboys. Their second game against the Cowboys, I want to say, and it was a really good throw to the middle of the field, and it was specifically like people posted about it like, "Damn, that's like the best throw I've ever seen Jalen Hurts make," just because he actually just drove one down the middle of the
Yeah.
field. So I get it.
Anyway, coming back to it, I wanted to throw that point out real quick since we brought up
Yeah, I
McCollum.
guess the only point to condense mine is um, if it's a good scheme, then the throw will be there and he'll just make it. Like that's kind of what happened with Caleb. I feel like.
Yeah. I'm saying we'll see if he will. I'm sure. I have a feeling that it will be there, and we'll see. I think this is them being like, hey, and to be fair, I think a lot of people think that this is them trying to say, hey, we're gonna need you to play a little bit of a different style quarterback than you've been playing recently. We're not giving you the outlet of like an AJB. We won't have the option to because AJB needs to get the hell out of here. But we're not giving you the outlet of just throwing a moon ball because he has played a lot of like that Russell Wilson style of quarterback where it's moon balls and scrambles.
Definitely wants to go the toward the sideline. It is also, I just gotta say, it's bizarre the way that people talk about the Eagles. They just won the divisional champion, the division last year. They won the fucking Super Bowl 2 years prior to that. I don't think that Jalen Hurts is like a top 12 quarterback, or right.
I don't either.
He's right around there. He's like 12 to 15 probably. But like, man, people really are like laughing and considering the Eagles like they talk about them like they're the Jets sometimes. And it's like, yeah, they just hire an offensive coordinator and regret it sometimes. Like they're an extremely well-run organization, and like you could do a lot worse than Jalen Hurts. So
yeah,
I don't know. Like
they either hit on an offensive coordinator and he gets hired as a head coach.
Yeah, right.
Well, they get one and then they fire him right away because they're smart enough to know like this guy's not going to do it. Like that is well-ran organization. You don't sit there and double down like say I don't know Tomlin would with his offensive coordinators that he's had, where it's like, oh no, it'll work eventually. The scheme sucks. So like they know to move off of him and bring him in. And so I agree with you on that.
What is a little weird, and maybe they just like him more in the building than the general public does. Why not just fire Sirianni? Like, you're going to continue losing your good offensive coordinators if your head coach is Sirianni, who, again, he himself was an offensive coordinator, yet he can't put any sort of mark of his own on the offense. So he's just there to like.
He's there to
usually make the correct analytic call, I guess. Like, what is he there for? If they would have promoted Kellen Moore after the Super Bowl, they'd be better off right now, I think.
You have a coach that can handle the Philly media, right? And a coach who's been able to put a fire under his team's ass and pivot a little bit mid-season. I think Sirianni offers a little bit of that, like, not CEO style, but like, I don't want to say leader of men either, because it's a different type of leadership. So people are gonna be like, oh, like that he's not like Tomlin.
It is weird because like half of the time,
brings it
when he doesn't make the Super Bowl, half the time people talk about him like he sucks at that. It's just And again, it's probably not true. It's just weird that like we're a year after them winning the Super Bowl dominantly over the dynasty of our era, and now we're back to like, those stupid Eagles. It's like, all right, come on, they're extreme.
I think that's a product.
They're probably going to win the division again. Like
it's a product of Philly fans, though, man. They're going to talk shit about their own team a lot of the times, although they won't with Jalen Hurts. But they're going to talk shit about their own team sometimes, so they get upset and they've got it's. I think that's a Philly thing, man. I agree with you though. It is funny. I will say though, there's some things that you can be like, okay, that offensive line you lose your offensive line coach. You've got new holes on the offensive line that aren't as patched. You got to look at Jalen Hurts as like, what are you going to do? You're losing AJB.
Did the Eagles lose their coach? I forget his name.
Yeah, offensive. I can't remember it either off the top of my head, but yeah, he's a key departure there. So it's like, now what are you going to do for like developing the offensive line? Is it going to work out? I'm not saying that they won't. Is a new offensive line coach that they've got going to work out and be able to continue and your run game as well on top of that, and continue what we've seen with like taking what's his name from Miata, taking like Miata and being able to develop him from never playing football really into holy shit, an absolute stud, right? Like, are you going to Milata? So we're talking about the Eagles a lot after talking about Thieneman. I didn't mean to go down that rabbit hole.
I missed this. Yeah, Stoutland is Jeff Stoutland. It said he's going to stay around the organization. You know what I bet this is? They're going to suck, and then
he's going to come back.
This happened to the Patriots. Dane Scarnecchia, I think was the guy's name. Was just kind of hanging around, and eventually Belichick was like, "Hey, come be the offensive line coach again. This is not working." He's like, "All right, I'll do it."
Hire him as a consultant for
won some more Super Bowls.
Yep.
Huh,
yeah, that's a
strange.
Thing.
He's not really that old. He's 64. Huh.
But yeah. I mean, if you got the money, I don't know why.
Maybe Cowboys in that division. I don't like them moving Scotland at all.
It's an interesting division. I was thinking about it the other day. I was feeling the
I don't want
Cowboys.
to. I don't want to count out the commies. Another point I was going to think about when I was thinking about whether we made good calls in the Bears' first round was it's funny that we think about Caleb differently in terms of whether that was a good pick than we did a year ago, when I think we were both willing to agree like definitely Drake May was probably the correct pick at 1. And it's almost impossible to say that Jaden Daniels should not have been the pick at 2, and then Caleb certainly is in third place of like what's most likely to happen just based on what happened the rookie years. And now I don't think any reasonable person is having anybody but Jaden Daniels as the third. A guy who's been to the NFC Championship game, won Rookie of the Year, was not bad last year either, and is now like just firmly the pecking order is just clearly May, Caleb, and Daniels. And Caleb has. I don't think it's crazy for us to suggest. Sorry, big old burpee. I don't think it's crazy for us to suggest that Caleb could be considered on Drake May's level, in the near future.
I wouldn't be shocked if by the end of next year, Drake May still is, considered what he is right now, right?
They could just be the 2 best quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, exactly. And
probably
Caleb
not next year. Probably not next year, but like 2 or 3 years from now, that's probably what I would bet on. I think probably.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself with Caleb, but we all see it now.
I don't think any of us are regretting the pick, because you can at least see Drake May right now does definitely edge him out, right? Maybe, because I think the potential ceiling, for both is just insanely high, that I already am like, oh, you could have picked either, and it's great.
May is a pretty perfect example of exactly what we'd want in a quarterback ever. So it's hard to say, because Caleb, you could still say, yeah, but May does this, or Caleb needs to clean this up, but like May really doesn't. I would say that the only thing Caleb is better at is handling pressure, and not basically avoiding negative plays.
Which is why everything
else is Drake.
Which is why, moment. Yeah, but I think that's why even right now, even though as much as I love Drake May coming out of it, I'm already leaning towards, I think I still would rather have Caleb, because I can see that ceiling.
That feels very Bears fan of you.
I know.
Went this groove ball.
I think handling pressure in the NFL,
and he plays quarterback, in the exact way that you love quarterback to be played.
I know.
You specifically.
I know,
he's basically better than Justin Herbert.
Let me pause. I think it's specifically because of Ben Johnson too, to add to this, right? If Ben Johnson wasn't our coach, I would not, even if Caleb came out of the year he had last year, I don't know if I would feel as comfortable saying that. But I know some of the things that, like, in my mind, I feel like Ben Johnson's going to get me some of those things out of Caleb that I love in Drake May, that you're going to almost have that hybrid aspect of it, because they are 2 different types. You can almost look at them as Josh Allen and Mahomes, right? That you're going to get some of those Josh Allen traits added in with the fact that Mahomes plays quick game really well, right? Added into the scrambling, everything, right? They're both great off schedule, right? Drake May definitely has the on schedule stuff. And Drake May does handle pressure well. I don't think either of us are saying he's bad at it. He can handle pressure in his face, make a move.
He's better just standing in and making the throw.
Or like finding
pressure.
Exactly. Stepping up into the pocket, throwing off one foot, getting it.
Which I gotta say is my preferred style of handling pressure.
Aesthetically, it's mine as well, right? Like aesthetically,
just in terms of what's going to hold up as they age. Like,
although I will say the pocket feel is different, and I think they both have pretty good pocket. I shouldn't say pocket feel. What I should say is Caleb's feel for pressure, I think, is what is something that will stay and is elite. They both have tremendous arm talent. I don't know. We're getting deep into it, but with Caleb, the things that I had seen, the things that looked like they were concerns last year, while you're in the bathroom, and I'm just gonna keep going. The things that I know you can still hear me. The things that I thought were
but you can still hear me.
Concerns last year that I didn't think were concerns at USC now became not concerns again, which was the field came back nice little Modelo.
I got
the
myself
feel
two breakfast beers. It's early.
the feel for pressure came back again. The way that we saw it at USC, where it's like, I know somebody's on me, even if I can't see them, and I'm gonna escape. But then you add the one thing I had with Drake May was he had that contact balance that Caleb has, but I didn't have to see it from Caleb in college. I'm seeing it now. I'm like, oh shit, that's like the ability to just shrug off an edge rusher trying to sack him and then escape on top of it. I don't know. There's a
This
lot of
stuff is
reasons.
special, and
We're getting
that's
into
what
really deep. There's a lot of special traits on both of them.
This actually, the point I was trying to make was actually not about either May or Caleb. It was actually back to the NFC East. We've all actually collectively just forgotten about Jaden Daniels, and as much as I take a little W of correctly, I think ranking him third, he's still really good.
Yeah,
he's being underranked by the Ruizes of the world. He probably is still like a top 12 quarterback, probably even better than that. If he's healthy, and again, health is a part of it. But if he stays healthy, like the one team nobody talks about as an NFC East contender next year is the Commanders. We can get into that later, but like, why would the Commanders be like gone all of a sudden? A big issue that they had was that Jaden Daniels was hurt.
My big thing there is I just don't
improved
like the
roster. They've improved the roster. I don't love it either. I'm not saying that I wouldn't. They're not going to be my pick. I'm just saying like the Giants are the trendy pick, so Harbaugh, but like the Commanders have a better roster than the Giants.
That can also go south. I think people are overrating the Harbaugh hire. I'm just saying, like, I think Harbaugh's a good coach. I'm not trying to say he's not.
It's kind of similar to what I was saying about Tomlin. He's established in one place, and it works in that place because it's been there for such a long time. I don't really want to see what his next act is. It's probably not going to go well.
Because it's especially considering the offensive coordinator hires there. Like one thing that he's really struggled at is finding an offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh. But coming back to like Harbaugh real quick,
it's
like you also
you're not talking about him, but Harbaugh hired Nagy.
Yeah, that's the other thing. So like you had a front office who was great. Harbaugh kept Roman for how long? Like so both having the same issues. Not good.
Do you see what this is? It's pina picante, so it's chilies and pineapple. So why it was a breakfast beer? The first one was like a Bloody Mary style beer. It's called a chelada. Tomato juice, lime, and salt in a beer. Delicious. Bloody Mary without having to like make a whole Bloody Mary. I just stopped at the gas station and grabbed one of these, and I was like, oh, 2 for $6. Let's try this pineapple thing. It's not hitting the same breakfast notes. It's 1:30 p.m. right now. I was trying to have like a brunchy beer right now.
That's fair.
But no, it's not doing it for me.
Is it still at least good? Like if you were to have that at night, would it be hidden?
I think it would hit on like a beach. I'm just not on a beach right now.
That's fair.
It's an okay beach.
It looks like a beach. It looks like it's advertised as a beach beer with how it's.
I kind of thought chelada automatically meant that there's tomato in it already, and I guess that's not what that means.
I didn't take Spanish. I took it in like 8th grade. I took German in high school.
I don't even think chelada is like a proper Spanish word. I think it's like a bastardization of stuff. But
fair. Coming back to what we were saying with we don't need to touch on the Ravens.
Wait, also, I'm sorry, you didn't take Spanish?
No, I took it in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, but that was so long ago. I took German all 4 years of high school and in college for my language.
Oh, I know some German phrases, but
I don't know if I remember it.
They'd all paint me as a Nazi, so I'm not going to say
that. Oh God, you might know phrases I don't.
Wow, I'm just saying.
Well, except for maybe the one that I'm sure went through Elon Musk's head as he waved at the crowd.
That's what I'm getting at. I know those. I don't want to know them, but I do.
Oh God. Oh, it's anyway. Coming back off of it before we get into politics. So Harbaugh, I'm going to be interested to see how that works out because I think people might be. We'll see. The thing coming back to the commies with Jaden Daniels is
fuck
the one thing I
fuck him even more. I already thought he sucked, but now fuck him.
Oh yeah, after the Trump. Anyway, so.
Asshole. Just shut the fuck up about it. Don't let me know that you're a fucking racist. Just be quiet about it.
Yeah, what's their Edge's name that quote tweeted it? Blanking
Abdul
now.
Carter.
Abdul. I do love that Abdul Carter. Like I thought this was AI generated at first, as if like, why
Yeah,
are you there?
what are we doing,
I
man?
can't
Like
believe
that's
this. Yeah, that was.
I feel like I forget who the other big ones are. I mean, the Bosas are, especially Nick Bosa. Nobody ever like says like, yeah, fuck Nick Bosa. Like nobody ever says that shit. I'm so glad to see a teammate being like, fuck this, fuck our quarterback for doing
Yep.
this.
Yep. I agree.
And
No,
can I say, Cam Scatabo is he'd be right next to Jackson Dart. I know you don't like to hear it,
I
but
don't want to believe it. I don't want to believe it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. I love that absolute. You know what? He also deserves a nickname Gremlin, but not for football and like his size, for being like an app like Gremlin brain. Like he's so
more like a
funny. I don't know. He's a
kind of a
goofy
caveman,
Gremlin.
just an idiot
Yeah,
caveman type
there.
guy.
That's a better one. That's a better one. Like he's an apps. I love it though. I've played with the guys with a couple guys like that, and they were the best because they were
But
just so
that's most
stupid and
football
so much.
guys, and you
I love
enjoy
it.
them because they're like kind of like puppy dogs, like
Yeah, they're just
puppy dogs that can really kick your ass if they want to.
yeah. They're also goofy as hell. Like the way that they
Right.
show that like cavemanness is so goofy. It's fucking hilarious. I don't want to believe it, and I'm sure those guys also would.
But
Coming back.
After Scatabo has his like third concussion and just has to quit the NFL, 30th concussion, let's say, he's hosting Barstool's like flagship podcast.
Oh, I'm
That's
sure,
just
but
what's gonna happen.
I've also heard outside of obviously their CEO that a lot of the people at Barstool that actually work there do maybe vote more establishment more than I would want, right? But do vote on the other
I
party.
have problems with a lot of guys there, and it's easier for me just to say they all suck. And it
Yeah.
does seem true that a lot of them are fine.
Yeah.
I
I
wouldn't
mean, I
get
just have
excited about that.
problems. I have problems with
Also,
the
I wouldn't even say this. When I go on TikTok and I see a Dave Portnoy pizza review,
he's a piece of
I'm
shit.
not above clicking on the page and watching some more. He's an interesting fellow. I hate him. He does not know shit about pizza. I will watch them. I'll
Hey,
just be honest.
is there a single dude who's got that Boston like that you wouldn't like that Boston personality that you wouldn't want to watch show on some shit like that? It is kind
Probably
of an
not.
unfair advantage.
Probably not.
But the coming back to the commies real quick. My thing with Jane Daniels is I will say he hits the middle of the field more than I would have expected considering what he did in college, but he did regress back to what I would have expected for his P2S, right? Like
Yeah,
whereas
that's why
Caleb,
they fired Cliff because it was like, okay, you did your Cliff magic for a year and now on to the next thing. I forget
yeah,
who they hired. But
and the Cliff Magic that year also, which is funny because you feel like it's first time at the Cardinals was the same thing, right? Cliff Magic for a year, now they figured out not as much,
uh,
but the Cliff Magic might have been carrying it a lot too. Though Jaden Daniels is a lot better than what I would have expected coming out. That's why I
yeah,
think I still sell the commies, or I'm still selling the commies. Whereas with the Cowboys, it's like, okay, you guys had some holes on defense. I absolutely will always believe in Dak Prescott. Pickens looked amazing with CeeDee Lamb on that offense. Like it wasn't the offense's fault one bit. So now that you patch up some of those holes on defense, you get a better. Their head coach has proven themselves, right? Like once you get to the, sorry, why did they hire what's his name last year or this year?
who?
The Cowboys head coach. It was last year. Yeah.
Schottenheimer?
Yeah. They
Schottenheimer
fired.
has 1 year
Yeah.
under his belt. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. They fired Flus. That was the change. They fired Flus. So now you're also bringing in better defensive coordinator. Like I could see the Cowboys and this is not going to be a shot at the Eagles. So I still think the Eagles are going to be very good. I could absolutely see the Cowboys winning that division or at least
yeah.
giving them run for money.
I think if
We've got on such a
it was
huge tangent.
if it was remotely well, because we ultimately are not going to have that much to say about the draft.
Eh, not that it's important now that it's a month later, I should
what
say.
we do have to say, I think, is going to be less interesting than
What
any
we're
of
talking
this.
about now.
Not that
Yeah.
this is interesting. But I don't know. I had one more thing to say, but just smart money. If it's plus odds, I'd probably go Cowboys there. Actually, I think you're probably right. But I think Commanders as a long shot because they're probably fourth in like DraftKings futures, and I'd be like, the commies are not that bad. They had a bad season.
It depends on the value on both of those. I think the Eagles though would
And they
probably
have
still be
Sonny
my favorite.
Styles now. Sonny Styles rules.
Yeah, I mean,
I think I'm
still
picking him. I think I'm going to pick him for Rookie of the Year.
defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah.
I don't know, Caleb
I think
Downs.
out of all the players in this draft, I think he is the most likely to be an All-Pro. I think number 2 is Caleb Downs, and I honestly think 3 might be Dylan Thieneman, just because it's easier
Yeah,
to become an All-Pro at those positions. But also, like Styles is, you got to watch Styles still. I know it's not gonna. I mean, at this point,
I
you might as well
have.
just watch him once he's in the NFL. But I'm telling you, I think this is about as perfect of a linebacker prospect as there is.
I downloaded like 3 of the games from our good old boy cut-ups. And I'm never gonna say his name out loud. Say the name out loud. I downloaded 3 of the games. I still gotta watch them. I'm excited to, but I'm also worried that I'm gonna come out of it and be like, wait, am I seeing what everyone else was saying or not?
I think you will. I think
Coming back,
if anything, you'll keep noticing Arvell Reese fucking up all over the place and being like, why wasn't Styles the one everybody liked? That's kind of where I was.
that's
And I'm
right.
still fine with Arvell Reese having been a higher pick, but
Yeah.
he has the edge potential. But
The thing though that I will say is the
Styles was the one doing stuff there.
linebackers are very much so. Linebackers and safeties are very much so it can be very much so a product of their surroundings, and I think that's where it's going to be a little bit harder because I don't think the commies defense has enough around Styles that it will fully unlock him. It's going to kind of hinder him a bit. Whereas I do feel much more comfortable with the setup that Caleb Downs is going into.
Sure, I can't remember exactly everything the Commanders did, but whatever. Let's go to the second.
Because at least Caleb Downs has a defensive line that is going to bring pressure for quarterbacks to make mistakes and him to be able to, capitalize on. Anyway, coming back to it, the Dylan Thieneman pick, obviously we love. I already explained everything there. I don't see anybody else I would have wanted to take. We both love that pick. Coming to the second
round pick, I watched it at a bar and I saw who they picked and I let out a big old yelp and just a big old clap. Like, people don't really know the second round that well, but like a few people said, "Oh, Iowa, good," and then they clapped too, like they liked it. But I was like on my seat because this is probably the first time that has ever happened that the Bears did both exact things I wanted with their first 2 picks. It was wild.
I texted, and then we'll get into the trade back. But after that, I'm like, holy shit, they did 3 of the things you wanted in the like basically order.
And I'm exactly how I want it to be done.
Yep, and then jinx it. We'll get to that. But it's funny because that pick also, it's like, why didn't they take an edge or a tackle? Who the were they gonna take? Like at that pick, after I wanted Jackass Yakas. I wanted Jackass real bad. Out of like
I watched plenty of Jackass. I don't need Jackass. It's fine.
I shouldn't say real bad. What I should say is if we were to pick an edge, Jackass was the one that I wanted.
It was a fine shot to take. Yeah. The thing is, we talk about this all the time. We don't need to get too much into it, but if you're taking an edge or even a defensive tackle down there, your odds are just really, really, really low of hitting. The ones that are worth a shit, especially, and not to say anything about the weakness of this draft, but even in a good draft, if you want the edge, you should take it in the first round, even with
at least in the top 40, top 40, top 50 at least.
So that's actually maybe the one criticism that I think is fair that you could levy upon the Bears for taking Dylan Thieneman is that once again they passed up on a chance to take a premium position that they obviously really need.
But they weren't. The one edge that went in the first round after them was
Keldrick Falk. So it was the guy that we mocked in our mocks. We didn't have Thieneman available, and
I don't think either of us
would talk. We both would have talked ourselves into it as an idea.
I don't know if I would have been able to as much with passing on Dylan Thieneman on the board.
No. Once Thieneman was there, I was so worried that we were going to do something else, and then we saw it. It was euphoria. Yeah. Like I was so happy. What I'm saying is, if Thieneman had gone where we expected, was expected to go, we mocked him. I could have been okay with that, and certainly I would have been quite happy actually with Caden McDonald, the defensive tackle from Ohio State.
Agree.
And actually, even if you just swap the Caleb Banks and Dylan Thieneman picks, I'd be okay with that. I'd be a little nervous about the injuries, but I
like
truly I said, game-wrecking potential out of Caleb Banks.
They were the two players that I wanted to. One of the 2 players that I wanted to come out with at the top of my list, and then it was Caden McDonald. And then I don't think either of us like Keldrick Falk, but we saw the fit for Sean Payton, which is why we did it in the predictive, right? But we were fine
Yeah.
with it. We were fine. That was like
I
the
don't
pick of
even.
I'm
I don't
fine
even.
with it.
I don't even not like Keldrick Falk. I don't think he's going to work out because I think he's going to be like more of a four tech now for the Titans, which is a little
Yeah.
weird. But I think if you had tried to develop his physical skills as a pass rusher, I think that could have been interesting. And I think it was exactly like what I wanted of like a good run defending defensive end who has the potential to
Brings
develop
a little
into
juice
a
in.
pass rusher, but also does not need to take any reps away from Booker or Sweat that we don't
Yeah, you have him there on the first.
that are more than necessary. Like if Booker feels like he wants to be on the field, Booker can be on the field, and then the next wave of guys like that would have been fine with me. All that to say, once you get to the second round, that guy really does not exist, even in a good draft at pick 57 or whatever.
A lot of, and here's the thing too, is like, just so people understand, it's not like it's, oh, they're not going to hit the high end, we at least can get average. No, because what ends up happening is if they don't hit really they're out of the league. They're marijuana edges. They just end up busting completely. Like this isn't.
If you
like
go back to the draft that you kept saying, the Will Anderson draft, and then it was followed by a bunch of edges, and most of those guys have not hit. But if you go to the second round, there are like 2 or 3 of those guys are like practice squad guys right now. Like Isaiah Foskey for sure is just like a practice squad guy. He was like the 40th pick of the draft.
Yeah,
like,
this isn't they don't
hit. Bad.
This isn't they don't hit, but hey, at least you get like a Dom Rob. Like Dom Rob is insane for still being in the league and being a little productive. You don't hit as in like they're just not guys.
And like, those are 2 good examples is Booker and Dom Rob. Is if you're going to do it in the second, you're just as well off doing it in the 5th probably, and at least just going pure traits. And that's kind of what we ended up doing in the 7th round, or I think trade up to the 6th. We just take pure traits and see what happens. That's the shot that you should take. That's good process in my opinion.
Yeah, because you could just build somebody who's raw. Like that's it. Like at that point, you just take somebody who's got the traits that if they're raw enough, we're gonna coach it into them. I agree with you there completely because it's like
the guys showing up in the second round are like, yeah, there's some like decent college production, and we like but there's like this thing is missing. Their arms are too short.
Yeah.
They're the sack production.
And then when you get to the NFL,
nothing's wrong with them.
And when you get to the NFL, the tackles don't have the defects that a lot of the tackles in college defects. I shouldn't say that.
Right.
So they have where those high-end traits that this is like, oh.
So they got all their production. Pretty productive guys who are either all traits or all production. All of them go in the second. And then by the time it's the 5th, it's like, this is entirely traits. They're probably raw. They probably have but maybe we can coach them up. And I prefer that than like
the production in the 5th,
Ojolari or Isaiah Foskey, where know based on watching basically what is a finished product, this probably cannot work in the NFL.
Yeah, because they get all of their production against I don't know, they get like 3 sacks against Purdue's offensive tackles, right? Like
it's like Peter Griffin taking the mystery box over the boat. But like the boat sucks. Like we already know the boat is not going to be very good. Take the
boat
box.
Is from like the 1960s, is fucked up, and the only reason it looks great is because it's been in a kiddie pool. So
the mystery box is also a shitty boat from the kiddie pool, but it might not be, and that's good.
Yeah. You might be able to fix that one up, whereas the other ones, that engine in there, the is I don't know, not the engine because the boat's different, but it's got a hole in it that can't be patched or welded. Whereas
this draft, I would apply that description to like Cassius Howell, whose arms are way too short. R. Mason Thomas, I don't feel great about it. His arms also are too short, but not as they're not like whatever. He's undersized and his arms are short. And then Zion Young, all body, no real wiggle. T.J. Parker, kind of a weird middle ground, not super productive. Okay body. All those were like the second round guys. Those are all the guys I'd prefer. I just prefer the mystery box. So those are some specifics.
To give Pull some credit, just having looked back at the draft, and I've asked people, who would you switch out for an edge rusher within the range for the picks? Because you can't just say draft an edge. I mean, he's never drafted an edge. Well, when he's drafted 2, both of them for where they got picked have hit pretty high end ranges. So it looks like the scouting department within the Bears at least knows.
I don't want to be super nice to Dom Rob. Dom Rob, I still would say is a below average player, but he is a player. He's a player who deserves to be on an NFL roster, and that's great. And now Booker is
for an edge.
I think Booker is going to be is going to have like a 12 sack season.
Yeah.
at some point here pretty soon. I really, really like Austin Booker.
And that's
I think that he hit like the 100th percentile with what Booker could have been.
yeah. And then Dom Rob still hit like an 80th percentile outcome considering where he was picked
Sure,
and
yeah.
considering the position where they end up. So it's like, okay, cool. That's in my opinion, that at least shows you I can at least if he's passing on him, I've got a little bit of history to know. Maybe they know what they might be knowing what they're looking for. I don't know. It's only 2 data points. So I don't want to overrate it. But what I'm also trying to say is go back to the other drafts. Who would you have switched? The only picks that I could think I could switch is Jared Verse with Rome Odunze. Like, and I love Jared Verse going into that, and we ended up passing up on him. But a lot of people love the Rome Odunze pick when it happened. So like that's like okay, cool. You guys want him to pick an edge. So far, I feel like a lot of the ones that he's passed up on, I've been cool with. Like, it's not like a lot of the other ones have hit for what we ended up getting instead, right? Defensive
I'll say this
for Jalen Carter versus Wright, but also Wright is still a fantastic right tackle.
I'll say this though, if you are just a big like Kieran Crawford fan, I'm not that familiar with Crawford. I didn't really watch much of him. He ended up going 67. If I don't begrudge you, if you just like Kieran Crawford and wanted the Bears to take him, that's okay. If it's not a specific though, and if you're saying, God, that was where we need to take an edge, then you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Unfortunately, you need to shut the fuck up. You don't know if you don't know the players. Like, that's certainly not the spot to do it. And unless you just feel confident in your scouting eye, which you can, go ahead. That's the fun of it. That's totally fine. But if you don't have a specific, and you're just like, why didn't we take an edge? You tell me which fucking edge. Because what we did draft is a very high probability starting center who probably will start this year.
Yep. And I'm
honestly,
not saying
I think he's going to beat out Bradbury right off the bat. Bradbury's not very good, and Logan Jones, in my opinion, is. He was my personal top center. I like that he won the Remington. I like that he went to Iowa. I like that. Now, unfortunately, Declan Doyle's racist dad is no longer the offensive line coach there, so it's a little different, but it's still the Ferentz system. Yep. Iowa guys churn them out. I just like an athletic, smart, Remington award-winning center as my certainly run block over pass block. Short arms might be an issue inside.
He's going to have issues against
Bradbury.
It's the same thing with Bradbury. It was the same thing with Dolman when Dolman started his career. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, are you going to be able to develop a way to overcome your issue? Which Dolman eventually did. Bradbury has not. And you hope that Logan Jones is able to. And in the meantime, you've got 2 guards next to him that can easily help him out, considering the center always has a double team on one side to help him based off of the front. So, like, I'm not as worried about the pass blocking. It will show up. Don't get me wrong. We will probably see sacks where he gets long-armed and driven back right into Caleb's lap, right? Or at least pressures if Caleb's able to escape. But considering everything else you're getting from him, it's great. I'm almost mad at myself for being lazy during our so I was looking for the high IQ because they want that. And what's his name also has pretty good fit for the Bears offense. That we passed on during our predictive, passing on Logan Jones, then when we picked what's his name?
I let you do Sam Hecht, but Logan Jones was always my personal guy. I thought Sam Hecht is a totally reasonable guy to have up there too, but Logan was always my personal favorite.
Yep. So I was really
psyched there.
And we talked about during the predictive, I thought we could have gotten one in the 3rd. Honestly, looking back at this draft, I get why we did what we did, but you could have gotten one in the 4th. We don't know if this is. There might be a point where like Sam Hecht's value, even if Logan Jones is better, Sam Hecht's value is not that much further off that you could have gotten him later, right? But I at least am happy because that was an obvious hole, as you talked about with Bradbury, where when we traded for Bradbury, I'm like, oh, they're just the value they gave up basically says he's a backup in their eyes. That just in case we can't draft one, we don't end up getting the guy that we want on our board. We should have him there. So I agree. I think he's going to beat him out. And I think that is a pick. I was also very happy with that pick. I didn't have the same like second rounder is going to be the center. I thought we could have gone in a couple different directions, not edge, not DT. But I'm a huge fan. Any other thoughts?
Yeah. No, I think one other interesting note though that came out afterwards that the Bears were making calls to try to trade up for Colton Hood in the second round. pretty long corner out of Tennessee. And eventually we take our corner later. But I would have been pretty excited if they would have traded up for Colton Hood. I like the acknowledgement that the secondary needs to continue to get better. And it's a lot easier to make the secondary better in the second round than it is the defensive line. It's a lot easier to make the secondary better in any round than the defensive line.
Yep.
And
Also,
often just as effective.
Also, I want to quickly add on the note of Logan Jones, there were other teams who came out and said that they would have picked him if he was there on the board after we picked him. So he would not have.
Yeah, I was I think
it's the Ravens.
He went as a slight reach on the mock draft hero, using the consensus. Yeah. But I always picked him there. I just
and it sounds like other NFL teams. Other NFL teams would have agreed, like they wanted.
Yeah, I think the Ravens. I just think the consensus was off. There's no good argument against him. Age, he's 25, going to be 25. That's not great. If he's not good right off the bat, then
we're talking about
probably
outside the top.
Pick. But I think considering what made our team good last year, Drew Dahlman is a big part of this. I think this is the Drew Dahlmanist guy in this draft, and. Yep. That's actually what I boiled down to. If I had to compare Logan Jones to a player in the NFL, it would probably be Drew Dahlman. So,
which is also funny because Bradbury is basically the Aldi version of Dahlman, and now we're hoping to at least have the.
It is the spectrum on Jones is Dahlman to Bradbury, probably.
They are the same short arms, same issues with the thing, but also really athletic, also really great at zone blocking. Like. It is kind of it is hilarious when you think about it. He has a type, and this fits the type very well.
That's also why I thought there was a good chance they would do it, because he was the type. This is exactly the type. So
and it sounds like other NFL teams would have agreed that he should have gone up there, and we filled a hole. And that is, again, with this draft and the lack of talent, that is fucking awesome to be able to do. That you're gonna have that, especially outside the top 50, like this. 75% of the value in any NFL draft gets picked within the top 50. 90% of it gets picked within the top 100. So you've got within the next few, outside of that range, if you're able to get a starter and a contributor and somebody who could be really good like Dahlman, maybe eventually, hopefully, doing that outside the top 50 where, 24% or 14% of the value is typically picked. That's awesome. That will be a value pick there in my mind. Now, anything else you want to talk about with Logan Jones?
No. So then, as you alluded to, with the next pick, we then do, again, exactly what I was mocking every single time, a trade down into the low 60s, high 70s. I see we trade down to 69. That makes me horny. So that's also good. I just see the number 69 and I get a boner. And then I'm like, okay, like all these guys, like I have this like list of guys that I'd been consistently picking at in that general range. So that was extremely exciting. I was a little underwhelmed by the return, it was like pick 144 or so, but cool. Just want another pick down there. That's fine. We take Sam Roush. Let me do my Sam Roush stick because you're gonna want to do yours.
Well, really quickly, if anybody thinks that we've been very high on this draft, too high on this draft, I think this is where you're gonna start to put some cold water on it. Also, next time we go out to a bar, I'm just gonna fuck with you and write 69 sometimes because piss you, frustrate you.
Now you know how horny it makes me. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that this view you
not
can
because
only see above the waist.
Oh. Anyway, sorry.
My actual answer is just for the first time I'm looking down the board right now, and I this is maybe the first time I noticed that it was pick 69. I don't think I knew that at the time. So they trade down to 69, and I'm like, oh my god, take Big Citrus. This is a great spot for Big Citrus. This is a run stuffing DI with like a lot of athleticism that can maybe turn that. This is a great time for Big Citrus. Of course, the Vikings end up taking him later. The Vikings, I continue to say, are smart, and
their drafts haven't worked out as well as their drafts recently have not worked out as well as we had thought they would have been. So I know you liked it.
I'm gonna predict that Caleb Banks turns out terribly. I just like the shot because I think he can be something that a lot of these guys in this range can't be.
And if he doesn't, I think it's gonna be strictly injury. On the note though, Big Citrus. I'm not trying to throw cold water in Big Citrus because I get it. Go
Okay, so I don't think there's a Bears fan alive that looked at the Sam Roush pick and was super excited the second they saw it come down. Uh, and I'm definitely among those people. I look at it and I think to myself, well, I do like Sam Roush. I do know that he's an NFL ready blocker. I start going through some of his kind of indicators as to what makes a good tight end. Some of them are pretty nice. Some of them are pretty bad. Um, but whatever. Stanford offense. Who knows? Whatever. I'll say this. So I hear chatter around the bar, and then the next day after my buddy's funeral, I talked to my friend, and he goes, "What was with that fucking tight end pick?" And this is how I explained it to him. Not saying I liked it, disliked it, one way or the other. I go, well, think about it this way. Instead of the Bears drafted a third tight end, think about it this way. Up until that pick, the Bears didn't have a backup tight end. We have two starting tight ends. This is so if either of those guys gets hurt, we continue to have two starting tight ends. It also will allow us to use more three tight end stuff. Durham Smythe played on about, I think it was like 40% of snaps last year. This guy will be better than Durham Smythe, et cetera, et cetera. That's what this is, basically. My counter to my own explanation to my friend is, who cares? We could have done this later. We could have signed a free agent. We don't need to do this. We just did it with the Durham Smythe. What the hell do we need a third tight end for? What could he possibly become? Like that's what annoys me. I get it. This is definitely going to be a good third tight end. Probably a good second tight end someday. Maybe even a starter. Who knows? I saw some Tucker Kraft comms, I guess, that well, that's how Jill was able to get over her dislike of it. Is she saw Tucker Kraft, she's like, all right, fine. This you don't need a third tight end. You're getting too cute. You're sniffing too many of your farts if you're Ben Johnson saying like, I'm the magic man who can make this stuff work. Also, the league's this entire stretch of picks, the Rams taking yet another tight end, the Texans taking Marlon Klein, the Jaguars taking Nate Boerkirker, like this whole run is happening, and then slightly thereafter, the Saints take Oscar Delp, and there's another tight end that goes off the board, I think. Certainly the league in whole is like, oh, tight ends are getting super valuable. Like every tight end that we have needs to be a good tight end. And that's understandable.
Also could be
it's also think this is a bit of a trend. This is a bit of a trend that is entirely inspired by McVay. And not that Johnson wasn't already doing it himself a lot, but I do think a lot of teams are responding to McVay, and McVay himself did because they took a tight end. But I wouldn't just assume that the wave of the future is as many tight ends on offense as possible. I think that's
but I do think you need to at least be able to get into 21 and run most. We're looking at like 31 and then also having a backup, right?
Yes,
which is
I guess
a bit of an experiment with McVay. But they're able. Most teams only had one.
So. Really quickly to complete my shtick here, Adam. We did it last year with great results, and the third guy was Durham Smythe, and we didn't have to pay anything for him.
But wait, hold on. Let me get into. I'll get into that part.
You can get into it now. I wanted to do my shtick first.
Okay. Yep. No. And here's the thing. At the time, I agree with you. And then I think that night or like the next day, I started looking into it a little bit more and looking into because I didn't know Roush very well. And I remember saying during the predictive, like I would want a tight end. I don't remember if we picked one or not in like the third day 3, right? Like get one.
I did usually take a day 3 tight end. And actually, let me.
You want to develop somebody.
I should point this out. So I shout out possibly our only listener, Chris. Blue Sky. She made a really interesting point that it didn't occur to me, and I didn't like it that much because I don't like Kenyon Sadiq. But she said that she would have liked Kenyon Sadiq in the first round. It did have me thinking like, damn, that would be cool. Like really unleash hell with like 3 athletic tight ends. And like my version of it would have been Eli Stowers, the tight end that I actually do like. But it did put into my head, like, I think she's onto something of like, they would like to do 3 tight end stuff. And if there's a value that maybe they would like to do that. I think that made sense. And I think that was a good call. Now I do believe I saw on Blue Sky that Chris did not like the Sam pick, if I recall correctly. But I do think that she was onto something that I hadn't really been thinking about.
Yep. And I think so.
Shout out to Chris.
Yeah. Chris might be against it for several reasons, but it's not because he's a tight end, unless it's like there was another position there that you would have read, somebody in another position that you would have read or wanted. I don't want to speak because I don't know. But she was onto something. I remember seeing that. I saw your pushback. I'm like, no, I agree. Actually, I love this. When she said it, I was like, I love this. And I remember at first I was like,
I just don't like
gave
Sadiq. That's all it was. I just
yeah,
don't like Kenny
yeah.
Sadiq. I don't think
And
it's
that's
good
I was trying to
prospect.
say. I was trying to bring it back to the not because I don't know if I loved it for Sadiq, but I was bringing up the idea of another tight end that was like that. Because in my mind, when I was thinking about tight end, I was thinking about adding one because Cole Kmet's contract is like 2 more years. Eventually, you might want to have somebody cheaper, right? It takes a little bit to develop tight ends typically, unless like the NFL recently has had a wave of tight ends that have been ready year one to produce. I don't know if that's a product of the tight ends that were in those classes, or if that's just coaches being better at using tight ends early, or if that like what happened that we're able to do it. But I don't want to take the risk of not just having time to develop one, right? Which is why I was thinking about it when she had mentioned it, that aspect of like if to really unlock because she had said it really unlock Ben Johnson, what Ben Johnson wants to do basically. I can't remember the exact word she used. I was like, oh shoot, that's good, because I thought of McVay at first and being like, yeah, we use 31, have all those weapons, do everything from that. And I was like, wait, hold on. And then I responded once, and then I responded again as I was thinking about it because I was driving to go pick up my dog Charlie from daycare. And I was thinking about it during the drive. I remember immediately pulling my phone at a red light. I'm like, holy shit, no wait. What's it called? Make the same things look different and different things look the same. This is going to 11, going to 31. I can run everything because you've got the receiving and blocking tight ends. So I can get to my run plays and I can still get to those pass plays.
And for the record, I'm not disagreeing
concepts.
yet. I think this all sounds normal. It all made sense to me. It's
But I think where
about the
people miss the point.
draft slot and player for me.
This is where I think people miss the point with Sam Roush. When I went back to go look at it a bit, it made more sense to me, and I'm going to trust Ben Johnson here. Sam Roush isn't just a blocking tight end. You had mentioned Tucker Kraft. I think he comps to Cole Kmet, and I think I told you this before. Afterwards, I can't remember when, like, but soon after, I'm like, I think he's gonna be like Cole Kmet. Then Adam, I remember also then sending you Hogan Johnson said a couple weeks later, oh hey, look who said he looks like him during rookie mini camp, not with pads on, et cetera, et cetera. But he looks exactly like Cole Kmet as a rookie. And
I remember I had a very snotty response that I thought was very funny. I forget what it was, but I remember being like, "Ooh, this is a banger thing to shut down Adam."
But
sometimes I just like to send you the rudest fucking thing when you text me. It's like, I'm sorry, it's funny.
It was funny when I called myself on having a little bit of confirmation bias on something else, and then I come back to you with another thing of like confirmation bias. Let's fucking go. Being like, oh look, somebody else. But what I was trying to get at is I know a lot of Bears fans think that he's going to be a blocking tight end strictly. It's like, no, I think this is one you're getting ready for, like when Cole Kmet. They're not going to trade Cole Kmet. I think they're getting ready for when Cole Kmet's contract ends. They might, maybe if he continues to show up, but at that point he's going to be in his close to his 30s at least, right? And developing his replacement. But on top of that, this is a spot that I thought Cole Kmet should have been drafted at his draft. He's probably going to be about. I think Sam Roush is going to be like a Cole Kmet rookie with less usage.
Can I point out that Cole Kmet was an excellent receiver at Notre Dame?
But that's the thing, though. Notre Dame is a completely different offense than Stanford's. Stanford's offense is a old school pro style offense, which is why I think their quarterbacks tend to outdo what people expected from them. Hence the reason why I was high on my long neck motherfucker with the Texans as a potential,
I'm not sure they ran
starter backup.
They ran what Frank Reich was able to install in a short period of time. Like, yeah, it's pretty old school.
And so what you get with that, though, is a few things. They had a shitty quarterback with a scheme that wasn't asking him to do much in the receiving game, more as a blocker. And when he was a receiver, his only issues as a receiver is his short arms that he, just like Cole Kmet, but for different reasons, can't adjust to a badly thrown ball as well as some tight ends can. However, when you watch the minimal reps that he's had as a receiving tight end, he's a lot better as a receiver than people are giving him credit for. And that's where I come to the Cole Kmet comp of can't really redirect to it. Isn't a like an insane receiver like Loveland, but is going to be able to give you some like I think he's going to be able to give you Cole Kmet rookie level receiving, but with a lot less reps because you now have 2 tight ends in front of him that are actually worth it. So it's like obviously
It's
adjust.
hard.
I think it's
Genuinely
more.
hard for me. It's genuinely hard for me to respond with anything other than who cares? We already have Cole Kmet. It's not that
But
exciting.
if you
I
have
like
another
having
Cole
him,
Kmet,
but it's whatever.
but now we're talking about the 31 personnel, right? How many concepts are you asking more than 1 or 2 receivers, which you already have a receiver in Loveland, to go out and do a harder route than what you're going to end up asking from like a Cole Kmet level tight end? And then you've got 2 guys who can do the Cole Kmet level tight end routes, right? Like, yes, you might have like a slot, but a slot's just going to be you're making up for that, right? With the fact that now they're in heavier personnel. So you're not having a safety or a corner on the slot, you're having a linebacker on a tight end. And if they're good enough wide receivers, I'll take that mismatch either way. And then if they're in smaller personnel, you're gonna run it up their fucking
But why
run down their
not?
throat.
Why not try to find? Why not try to find your Kittle or Kelsey in the mid rounds, like we've
I mean, I
been kind
agree.
of preaching for a while now.
I agree with you there that if there was a tight end, and I believe I can't remember who I wanted, but if there was a tight end that you could see that with in the future, I would have preferred it. I'm not even saying that like I like Roush at this spot, right? Because again, I like Big Citrus would have probably been my preference, right? To take that, especially now that you're getting to the third, you're starting to get to the point where it's like, all right, if you want to take a flyer on a DT's hit a little bit higher, more higher than edges do. I think edges I'd still go like 4th, 5th
You could
round.
find a rotation. You could absolutely find a rotation player, especially
Yep.
if they're a specialist at one of the things.
Yep.
Orange
Like
is a
run.
kind of a run stuffing specialist
Yep.
who has the juice to maybe turn into something more. Like
E-
Dominic Orange will be an NFL player.
Yeah.
Like that would have been great. And now I got to say, so with the next pick, not gonna say
Well,
who we
really
picked,
quickly,
but like Eli Raridan was still there. Like later, Justin Jolie were like they have better indicators. Raridan's a good blocker. Like I just don't understand why we did this here.
So just from what I agree with you that I can get the here part, but what I'm trying to really get at is I'm pushing back on the sense that he's just a blocker, and this isn't going like. Why did we do this? I can't see a potential possibility.
I'd also push back on he's just a blocker to be clear. I don't think that's the case. I don't think he's a dynamic receiver, but he's certainly a better receiver than Durham Smythe.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. Is like I think he's going to be Cole Kmet rookie level receiving without the maybe a little bit worse, right? Without the added touches or targets because you've got so many guys to like sling the rock around to. So that's where I'm kind of getting at is like I can see a world, and it's the world that Chris was coming up with, right? That I don't know if a lot of people did because Stanford did not give us a lot of give us the ability since he's playing on basically highest difficulty that any tight end can, where you got a quarterback that sucks, an offense that's not going to really demonstrate receiving skill sets from a tight end, right? They're going to use them like a old school offense would, which is flats and like hooks and shit like that. And so you've got 2 things working against you, which are the 2 things that you'd usually want working for you to really flash. And so that's where I'm like, okay, cool. So now I'm looking, he's going to be going a lot more 31 potentially, and then 21, and you've got the backup there. And we don't have a great third receiver, right? And you can look at Rome and be like, dude, is he going to be? I mean, he's probably fine too, but like, come on, Rome, we need
foreshadowing. Foreshadowing is happening here.
Yeah. So yeah. So let's. I guess it's like we might not be fully seeing this. Let's pump the brakes. I do agree, though, that even with that, I probably wouldn't have picked a tight end here. But maybe I'm going to pro, and he's going to end up being great. Who knows?
Here's what I predict. I don't think you're going to eat crow because you're being on the plus side of it. So, I mean,
well, I think that if anybody was,
you'll forget the negative things that you said and just say, "See, I was right about Sam Rath." That is what will probably happen. And I'll forget too and be like, "Yeah, I guess you did."
We'll see. I mean, no, if he ends up being just Durham Smythe, it's going to be like, yeah, fuck this. You know that I'll look at
that's reality.
Now,
I want to say this, just because it does take a tight end a second. He'll probably be a solid blocker. I predict we're gonna fucking hate him as a rookie. Like, I predict that there's gonna be several plays where Caleb escapes and like, oh, there's fucking Roush downfield, and he's only got like a little cornerback on him in the something, and Roush like drops the fucking like I can just
I don't
picture
see
that
this.
happening several times as a rookie.
I
Maybe
don't
not
see
throughout
that
his
scenario.
career, but just as a rookie, I can just
I
see
agree
that
with
shit
you.
happening because
I agree
Komet
with you,
does it
but
all the time.
I don't agree with that specific scenario because I don't know how often he'll have that chance unless somebody gets injured. It might happen
Well,
if
like a little
given a
scramble
chance to.
drill. They had too many cornerbacks on the field, and a part
If
of the
someone gets
thing, the
injured, yeah.
reason we had Roush is Roush got matched up at the corner, and that was a good thing to do. And just
Yeah, the typical Cole Kmet,
Roush
you
has
throw
little like 5'8" corner against him, and he just
yeah,
can't come down with the fucking ball because he's got the little
yeah.
tiny arms. I just see it.
Caleb misses him to the left when Roush opens up to the right, and just like Komet would sometimes, and then Komet has to readjust and completely fucks up readjusting. Roush just doesn't have the arm length to go and readjust. I can see that. I can absolutely
Yeah,
see that now.
it's just gonna
I
happen.
just don't know how often that scenario will happen unless somebody really does get injured, which I'm really hoping doesn't happen. But I agree with
Well,
you though that
they're gonna do
either
31.
way,
They're gonna pass a lot of 31 plenty of
either
times.
way,
And
yeah.
Durham Smythe got, I think he had
Well,
like
the
5 catches
quarterback,
or
it's a
so. I think he
quarterback
probably
thing
had
that I'm
like
pushing
10
back.
targets.
The cornerback part is what I'm pushing back on actually the most because it'll be 31. But I'm mostly joking. What I'm trying to get back to is I
Run a
do
little
see the
wheel route.
scenario.
It's fun.
I do see the scenario. It's fair. I do see the scenario, but I feel like a linebacker would. It depends on what coverage you're in. I do see the scenario
Well, clearly it would
of
have to be zone, of course.
yeah.
He's not gonna
Okay.
be matched up with a corner.
They're in yeah. They're in like a cover 3 zone setup. So
That's what I'm getting at. Something like that.
yeah, I don't. So the thing that I'm trying to say is, though, I agree with you on the sense that we're probably gonna hit him either way because, or most fans will, because of the lack of usage that he's going to have outside of being a blocker. That it's probably going to be a bunch of like flats and stuff like that. And they're going to be like, why do we waste a pick? And then by the time, and this is where I think you're getting at, by the time Komet's contract ends, he's going to end up being the 2 like Komet and replace, basically just fill right in, because that's where I really see the value of this pick is in 3 years. That third year when he's fully developed, like Komet's fully developed right now, having that
You gotta
backfill
fucking sign
way
him
cheaper.
again. Like it's like you
Right,
take
but
up 2 of the years.
just like Komet, or just like most tight ends, by the time we have to resign him, he's not going to be at his full value. Usually you see the most value out of a tight end, their second contract, that we're going to get him for like 13 million. And then I know some people don't think that Komet's worth that. That is like the 18th highest contract for tight ends. And Komet is definitely in the top 20 of tight ends. So you're going to get it for value. Great.
well,
And then you have Loveland. So like, I think it's just good team building on that sense. But not at that pick.
I want to close out my Roush thought really quick. I do think he'll ultimately be a good tight end, and I do think that the upside of like Tucker Kraft is interesting. I do think he will be. I think you undersell just a slight bit. Like I do think he'll play at least 30% of offensive snaps, and a lot of the time he'll be on the field, and Loveland will not be. Like just like Smythe was.
Yeah.
I think he'll be ultimately a pretty good player that again will draw our ire quite a bit for stupid shit that I could just see happening. I think he'll be good, and we will have a really solid third tight end. If one of those 2 guys gets hurt, we'll be able to remain in 2 tight end sets, and that has value for sure. Again, I just don't know how much I care compared to the other stuff we could have done there.
I hear you,
That's all it is.
That's the part that I agree with you too. I'm mostly pushing back, I think, on some of the fan critiques here. And then the other thing that I want to add is I also agree 30% of snaps is probably about what I see. It's just more so how many targets is what I'm getting at with the receiving. Because then you also have to add the fact that how many of those are going to be run blocking snaps, and then how often is Caleb going to be saying, I'm going to go to Sam Roush right away instead of one of the other guys that are very
hopefully he's a good. Hopefully he's good, and then he'll warrant some more targets.
Right, but it's more so going to be like you're now already whereas Loveland and Burden were basically becoming your like 1 and 2. Really, you already have those guys there, so now you're at best going to be like a 3. And Komet didn't have a lot of targets last year, right? So now you're talking about being under Komet on that and having even less targets than Komet did last year. So that's where I'm getting at with the production. So like, whereas Komet had like 600 yards because he had a whole bunch of targets on the flats from Mitch Trubisky, I think his rookie year, you're going to have half as many as Komet did that year because we didn't have a lot of weapons in 2020 that were really producing in the way that you would want them to. I think what we had Mooney and we had what's his name? Rob Jesus Christ.
I've
AR
lost track of what
Allen
year.
Robinson. And Allen
Okay.
Robinson, that was the year that I started thinking like, okay, he's starting to fall off. I believe we still had Allen Robinson 2020. So like you saw Trubisky dropping it off to like Met on the flat and him getting like 6-7 yards. So like we're not going to see that, is what I'm trying to say when I say that the volume of it is. Don't expect Komet's production, because Komet had a lot more volume than what we would expect from Sam Roush. That's all I'm saying there with but you're right, 30% of snaps is probably what I expect. Let's move on. I think we're good on Sam Roush. Let's talk about this pick that
So Xavier Thomas feels like Mecole Hartman is kind of the best case scenario.
it's the biggest reach in the NFL draft, I think, versus consensus out of any of the other picks. I might be mistaken, but I think he was
for us.
At least but it probably like top 10 in the whole draft.
I think the Jaguars might have all 10 of them, if I'm being honest. I don't know.
That's actually I forgot the Jaguars had such a shit draft. Jesus Christ. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Who knows how it'll work out, but in comparison to consensus, Jesus fucking
they were very strange.
I'll
say this about Xavier Thomas. He had a whip route. On the highlights I was watching, because I watched plenty of LSU. I still couldn't really fucking remember who Xavier fucking Thomas was. He had a whip route that was absolutely nasty. So you could see quite a bit of wiggle. But I don't know. It's so hard to look at something like this and not just remember like Velas. Like it's the same kind of weird instinct on Poles' part. Then you've got Ben Johnson, who wants his kind of fun toys instead of a real wide receiver, and it's hard to speak too much about Xavier Thomas rather than speak about the guy I would have liked instead, because I don't know. He was such a weird pick that I don't know what he is, but the idea of what it looks like he is like, yeah, maybe Mecole Hartman, who kind of sucks. Like, I don't know.
So I think it's a terrible pick.
I don't know.
Here's the thing. Unless like Ben Johnson absolutely proves us wrong, I think it's a terrible pick, because you could have done a lot of things there and then gotten someone who probably got you, even if you lost out on Xavier Thomas, you could have gotten somebody who got you like, I don't know, 80-90% of what he gets you way later. Right? Like that's I look at it as like the draft value aspect of it. Yeah,
the draft guy out of Iowa, Hank Beatty out of Illinois was a guy I always love to give the Bears the 7th round. Like, also a punt returner, also kind of shifty. Like, there's a lot of this guy, and maybe I'll say this: when we drafted Devin Hester, I was well aware of how good of a returner Devin Hester was, but I kind of had the thought of like, man, a kick returner in the 2nd round, that's stupid. We could take a kick returner whenever. It's possible this guy is fucking so goddamn better at this stuff than, and I'm just not seeing it, that it becomes worth it. I doubt it.
But special teams has changed so much that, like, I mean,
right, even if you did have Devin Hester, you wouldn't really know it anymore.
Well, I guess Devin Hester was a lot better. I mean, he's still great at kick returns, but he was amazing at punt returns. Punt returns are pretty much still the same. Whereas like Cordell
I think punters have gotten too good. I think punters have gotten too good for there to ever be a Devin Hester.
That's fair. But Cordell Patterson, for instance, because of how much kickoffs have changed, you're not gonna. I don't know. It's gonna be different if you're really good at kickoff returns.
I think prime Cordell Patterson might actually be better with the new rules, because it's kind of like a run play nowadays.
But I think that
actually might have been good.
You know what? Nah, you're right. Actually, potentially you're right.
It's fun to think about.
It is fun to think about. But you're potentially right. I'd have to think about this a little bit deeper. But going into it with Xavier Thomas, I will say this: the things that we might be missing, and this does not excuse any of the stuff that I had just said. With just value wise, this makes no fucking sense. When even if he does go well before his consensus to somebody else, there's potentially you could just make that up. You can make up most of that either way with a later pick and gone another direction. My big
Ooh!
What do you want?
Nico charged a bunt and flipped it behind his back to first base to get the out.
Oh,
They're
that's
of course losing 3-0 again, but that
What
was
the
a
fuck is going on with them
nasty
recently?
play.
Oh
I don't
god,
know.
this
It's just baseball. Oh, backwards between the legs, ass towards the first baseman, hiked it like a football. Wow.
I'm opening up Marquee real quick. I just want to see if I
Wow,
can
that was
rewind on this.
awesome.
I want to see this. As I'm doing,
He hiked it like a football in motion. Wow, that was cool. And because it was like a football, it makes sense to be a part of this football podcast.
Hell yeah. Come on, fucker, start up. Anyway, coming back to turn off. Anyway, coming back to
I just heard pure static.
all right, let me see this replay. That was sick.
Wasn't that cool? Everyone, go back to the play that Nico Horner made on May 23rd in the 5th inning against the Astros. It's cool.
Sorry, that's sick. That's like a long snapper, dude. That was awesome.
I know, that was really cool.
Little flip between the legs. Sorry, coming back to what we were Xavier Thomas. Here's the thing that I will say that for the VJJ, just a little pushback on the VJJ is VJJ was picked up because an analytics cylinder that Bears analytics department must have been absolute fucking trash. Because what normal analytics person would have said that? It was just like fucking measurables that for whatever. Ben Johnson watched
every
the film
analytic
and
that I'm aware of would have horribly discounted a 25-year-old. They would have discounted a total lack of production.
Analytics guys that I know,
like that's crazy.
Analytics guys that I know looked at that pick and were like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?" Like it was obvious that our analytics department had no fucking clue what they were doing, and that's why none of them all got fired. The big thing to me is Ben Johnson watched the film of him and was supposedly so excited he was shaking. Like you could see how excited he was watching the film. So I don't
care about that. I just gotta say, I don't care about that. They're gonna say that about anybody. I'm glad Ben Johnson was excited. Ben Johnson's not in charge.
It's a very different. I agree. That's why I'm like saying it doesn't excuse it. It doesn't excuse it in any way because you still could have done, I think, something different. Unless he ends up being an insane wide receiver, and that whip route was more than that whip route example ends up being more than what most people saw.
Sure.
What I'm trying to get at though is I do think that this is a little different than the VJJ just because of the circumstances in which they were picked. If your coach is saying, I really want this guy, I think I could use him like crazy, versus analytics and somehow also going against analytics because you picked a guy that far up versus his consensus that it makes no fucking sense. It's the opposite of analytics for team building. Just for some reason, athletic measurables is analytics. It's dumb. Almost on its face, it was dumb. And almost opposite of analytics. So the reasoning, I think, makes it very different. Also, VJJ was supposed to be a kickoff and punt returner, a special teams contributor that we didn't see in college, whereas you see it with Xavier Thomas. So, like, you have at least an idea that at least we're getting a special teams contributor. That said, I agree. We could both be eating crow soon and watch him be like Luther Burden, except without Burden's profile coming out, and all that wiggle and speed gives him some dynamicism as a weapon. Who knows? I doubt it, but who knows?
The bigger issue is
it is a different thing, in my opinion.
He's a weapon. He's very unlikely to be. His best case scenario seems like if Mecole Hardman was good, I guess. Like a
gadget guy
a slot only gadget who could maybe in a good scenario run some routes and do some real things.
He also
Hardman, Tutu Atwell, there's guys like that can produce.
I will say he has some film of him actually being a running back at LSU, whereas like they talk about VJJ about being a running back. He is
that's
pretty damn good out of the backfield. Like there were a couple runs that I saw of his that he breaks and takes it to the house. I remember telling you after the pick, I'm like, I wonder if they're seeing this as like they're gonna flip his position, and they're trying to find a way to find a Jahmyr Gibbs and are hoping that that'll work. Because with Jahmyr Gibbs, you got a wiggle and speed, right? And this is kind of the same idea. Whereas like BJJ was more like we're seeing him as a Debo Samuel type, where you can hand it off to him, and he's got like the strength to break a tackle and such. It's not less about the explosiveness and more about the speed of a normal wide receiver plus tackle breaking, right?
Now, can I really quick? I just want to point this out, and this is doing some real some shit that probably annoys me when somebody else does it, but I'm gonna do it myself. I don't know this guy that well. I'm just gonna point out his stats because he went a few picks later. Brennan Thompson, about the same size, an even better 40-yard dash, 4.26. At Mississippi State this year had 57 catches for 1,054 yards and 6 touchdowns. Xavion had less than 500 yards. He was still the second leading receiver on LSU because that whole thing was a fucking mess. Kelly got fired and then Nussmeier got hurt. So like the return skills that Thomas has and the running back stuff must be really good because we passed on a faster, actually productive receiver for Thomas, and that to me is strange.
And again, this is where I go back to, I'm not trying to excuse the pick because I think you could have done a lot of different things to get at least the value you got. But I'm just explaining the Ben Johnson of it all that I think gets ignored when people want to talk about Velus Jones. And I get it. I get why people see that. Now, his rushing 19 carries for 5.2 yards, long of 48. I just want to look at this. He had a game against Louisiana Tech, 6 carries for 54 yards, but it was 48 long. So obviously he broke one and then had a couple that just did stuff. 3 carries against Clemson for 26 yards, 8.7, but 14 long. So between the other two, you still had 12. That's pretty good. And then, yeah, I mean, so the limited carry sample size at a couple games later that didn't look as great. So who knows what they're even thinking that, because I know some people are like pointing out the running back aspect of it too on social media, and I even said it. I think when I saw it, I'm like, his height, what is he, like 5'8"? Am I wrong there?
I think it's a little taller than that. I think it was like 5'10".
5'10". Okay. 5'10", 190. But I want to see how it plays out, but I am still critical of it. You could have done a lot. Now, let's go on to the next pick, which I fucking loved at the time, and I still love.
Hang on. I don't want to. I want to make my ultimate point. I don't know much about Xavier Thomas, but I do know a lot about Skylar Bell, the guy that we mocked in that exact pick in our dual mock. He fell to 125. I understand if a guy falls, blah blah blah. We know the whole fucking thing. Every single indicator about him screams worst case scenario. Josh Downs. Probably.
I love Josh Downs. So.
Probably actually can play outside, unlike Josh Downs. He's got more size than Josh Downs. Elite separator, huge production at UConn. Might be nothing, but crucially, a thing that the Bears ignore when they take a guy like Xavier Thomas and they use a roster spot on Khalif Raymond is that if Odunze or Luther Burden gets hurt, the only guy on this roster who can, feasibly, play traditional outside receiver is Jade Walker, which
Jade like a memory.
Love Jade for many reasons. I don't feel super comfortable with that setup. We've essentially done nothing to replace DJ Moore, and DJ Moore did a lot for us last year, even when he did not have the ball or have a target. He did a lot running some tough routes for us. So we removed that, and then we've done nothing to replace that, and we've doubled down on more gadgety type guys, 2 gadgety type guys, and it's uncomfortable.
Well, I want to call a Roush a gadgety type guy. I'd call it just like a added scheme that happens less often.
No, I'm talking about Raymond and Thomas at receiver, right, instead of what we had before, which was DJ Moore and Olamide Zaccheaus, which those were 2 professional wide receivers. We've replaced them with 2 gadgety receivers. Raymond can do some stuff, but he's more gadgety, and Thomas certainly seems like that. So we're putting a lot on Jade Walker's plate if either Rome or Burden gets hurt. To say nothing of the fact that Rome is not very good at receiver, but now somebody who we
Right.
don't even really believe in that well is like a really important he not get hurt because that limits a lot of what we do with our receivers. Just seems like the priorities are a little bit messed up here. I think, and especially with the Roush pick, like if we didn't take Dominic Orange, there were a lot of like traditional receivers that can get open uh, around that pick. And then again at 89, like Skylar Bell, just totally obvious to me. So I'm just gonna say Skylar Bell is who I wanted to pick. He did end up falling another 30 picks, so that could
Hold
be
on. I want to
the
pause.
league telling me I'm wrong,
Stop saying that.
but
Stop saying that. Stop
I
saying
would have
that.
taken Skylar
Because
Bell.
the way that it works when it comes to falling or what's it called is you take the draft value, like you take a chart. I can't remember which chart specifically. It's not the Jimmy Johnson, obviously, and it's not you basically take one of the charts and then you take the it's 50% either way or 25% either way, and then figure out if they fell to a pick or were picked at a pick, reached at a pick that is within that plus or minus of 50% of that value. And when you're at that pick, that's on a reach or a fall. Also, outside the top 100, throw the consensus board out. The consensus board sucks after the top 100. And I know that he was in the top 100, but falling out of it when you're already at that like 80 range, that doesn't matter. So like, let's stop. Don't give yourself shit for that part because it's
Well, it's
not a
from like
reach or a
80.
fall.
It's from 89. It's from 89 to 125, which I do think is significant. I
But
just
it's not.
disagree with the league, and I disagree with the league that he should have even been there at 89. I think he should have been a
Well,
second rounder. I think he's a really good
I
player, and
I hear
that's
you,
what I'm
but what
getting
I'm
at.
saying is that it's not a somebody who fell. I'll say that much. It's like if you take like the actual analytic aspect of it, that's not somebody who I think would have fallen in the fell category. So I wouldn't even use that as like a trying to say I know that he fell. Like you don't even have to say that because he didn't really
I don't
fall.
have to
So
qualify.
right,
Great. I would have
yeah,
taken Skylar Bell
that's
there.
all I'm trying to say.
I would have taken Skylar Bell there, or Elijah Surratt, or just somebody who can play outside receiver because we
Yep,
need that. That's a need. I
yep.
think the same thing I say to explain to my friend, like, well, Roush is like now our backup tight end who could also do this. Like now we have an actual backup tight end to our 2-star. It's the same thing with receiver, but like receiver's kind of more important to me. So it's like
Yeah, I hear you. That and so
we're not. I don't think we're really covering our asses. If what if Burden gets hurt? What a fucking
I
disaster that would be.
So I want to come back to that. I do also want to add that's people were talking about Thieneman being like a draft steal too because he fell a bit, right? But they were saying it in like the good way. I'm like, dude, he wasn't he didn't fall technically. Like I don't know why people are saying that he fell. I mean, he fell to us technically versus like where we thought we didn't think we could get him, but he didn't fall. Shut the fuck up about being a steal. Like this isn't the same thing as like what you would say. I mean, he might be a steal. Don't get me wrong. I think he's going to be specifically because in my mind, Thieneman does have like Caleb Downs, you said the players who could be all pros. I agreed with that. I agree with that point very much so. I think he has the third best possibilities of being a multi-time all pro in the league. Um it's hard because
And
there's a lot of really good
it won't
safeties.
matter as much. It won't matter as much as a really good edge rusher who
Yep.
is
Doesn't
never an
make
all
all pro
pro because it just
because
doesn't
there's
make as it doesn't matter as much. But it's still something. It's
yeah.
definitely a really good player that you're happy to have on your team.
But you only get the first team and second team all pros, so you still have enough good edges that it's harder that have that kind of like quality. So that's the but he's still like a elite or second tier guy, which is fantastic. You're right.
Yeah.
But the coming back to I want to talk a little bit about that Roma Dunze and Luther Burden point. One, we have soured a lot on Rome, right? But he's still fine too. I just want to add that in there. He's probably a fine like mid two as with what
I
he's
find it
seen.
hard to I find it hard to talk to you about Rome sometimes because you always end up zigging against the point that I'm making.
It wasn't worth the
Uh,
he wasn't worth the pick, and he's
I
not
think
hit.
that Rome. I agree. Rome is a good number two.
Yeah,
He probably will never be any more than that, which is unfortunate. But that is why I'm saying it would it
I'm not trying to say anything
but
against that. I'm not trying to say
the
anything against
point
that.
is
You're defending
the
something that
point
I'm not
is
trying to say. I'm just trying to clarify to people who are listening that when you say that thinks that Rome is, I just want to make sure that they know that that's where we both stand. But the point still stands. Your point still stands. I just want to clarify that for anybody listening. The point still stands that
that's it. It's more of like a
you're
private.
not
Sometimes we'll privately talk, and I'm like, Jesus, does he like Rome less than I do now? Like, it's like,
there.
but then other times you're
I'm
like,
pissed off.
okay, I guess he likes Rome too. It's like it depends on the
It's
day
because
talking to you. It's like
we're both so pissed off that especially because it's like the contested catch or even just making a difficult catch that isn't contested technically. Um he just and sometimes being not in the position that he's supposed to be in. Like Rome, these are things that one in your profile. Granted, his first couple of years he wasn't great at contested catches, so it's like maybe that was just an aberration. But he's still fine as a catcher. And then two,
He did it when it mattered
but the
most. I'll
fact,
give him that. Maybe it's a
yeah,
sign of things to come.
yeah, the two though is
I'm
like
still bullish. I'm still,
being
I
out
still
of
not bullish,
position.
but I'll give him a chance.
Yeah, being out of position. The first year, it's like fine, whatever. You're getting used to NFL defenses and what to look for. The second year, it's like, bro, by now you should be like, if Caleb's thinking that you're supposed to keep going, but you decide to sit, and now you make Caleb look like he's inaccurate. The fuck? That's fans are yelling that Caleb threw a bad ball. No, that's on Rome. You should know these things, man. Like, what's going on, right? And like, so
It is in his
I get
defense.
mad because the frustrations that I have. I'm like, bro, if you just fix those two things, you do get open when you're playing. Like, you could be, and maybe not worth the ninth pick for like a wide receiver, but you'd be a wide receiver one. Like people would be absolutely happy. And then we'd have two guys. We'd have Luther Burden, who I think can be an absolute stud. Is already showing. And as long as he can get it to the point where he knows the offense really well, he's going to be an absolute stud in the NFL. And then you have Rome as your second. That's like, dude, that would make me stoked. But even then, you still want a three, because if like you said, if one of them gets injured, who are you replacing the second guy with? Now, I push back with you on this because I think then we're just going to be living out of 21 and we've got good enough receiving tight ends that it will hurt our passing production, but not enough during the regular season. Like in the playoffs, it'll suck. But in the regular season,
it can't work that way for me. It can't work that way.
I hear you.
There's times you need a guy who could just straight up beat a cornerback down the field and especially like late in the game.
No, but you can always run 21 drop back, or you could run 21 shotgun if you want to. You can have your running backs out there.
I think you've said something similar to this before, and I think what I think is lost is Cole Kmet is not a productive player to have on the field if there's no threat of the run. It completely goes away.
A bunch of late game. Cole Kmet's
I know you said that. You said that, and those were in pretty specific situations. The 3 plays prior to Cole Kmet catching the Hail Mary, he probably wasn't on the field. Jade Walker probably was, or somebody else like that. Right.
But also,
you want the receivers to get the hell down the field.
He had a dig late in the game. I think it was against the Giants. Like, he's had multiple late game catches. I'm a little thrown off here. You can absolutely live in. And
Adam, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Games on the line.
So wait, let me ask you this before you do. And 11 personnel for most teams. And 11 personnel for most teams. Cole Kmet is their receiving tight end. You have Loveland, who is basically as good as a wide receiver out there. That's what I'm trying to get at. So it is a different type of 21 because of the two tight ends we have, where your tight end 1 is basically wide receiver level receiving, and your tight end 2 is the typical 11 personnel guy. That's my point.
Can I give you this situation really quick?
Yeah.
It's 3rd and 15, under 2 minutes to go. The Bears can have 22 personnel and have Cole Kmet on the field, or they could play 13 personnel, replace Kmet with Olamide Zaccheaus, let's say. Are you really telling me?
I would rather have Cole Kmet out there than Olamide Zaccheaus because of what Zaccheaus doing.
You're out of your fucking mind.
Because I would throw Loveland in the slot.
That's not what a tight end is. What?
A Loveland in the slot with a safety over him? That's a mismatch. What are we talking about here?
There's a corner. It's a corner. Oh, yeah. They know you're
throwing. Even more of a mismatch. He's 5'10". You don't want a corner on a tight end and pass.
Then why even have Loveland play? Adam, why even have Loveland play tight end at all? Why not just have him be a receiver? Because he can block too. He's apparently Randy Moss.
Hold on. Cornerbacks are too short. You want a safety. First and foremost, you want a safety if you're going to have a DB because they're taller. You have a length disadvantage if you put a cornerback, unless it's one of the few that are tall as hell and lengthy. You have a cornerback on a tight end, especially a nickel corner, is going to get mossed against most tight ends. You need a safety over a tight end who can be physical and actually get into the point of contact on the catch, unlike most cornerbacks can. Either way, so you're going to have a safety or a linebacker on him, and it's probably going to be a safety, right? And on top of that, I'm going to take Loveland in the slot over a safety. We've seen him do it. We've done that a couple of times. And then your Komet ends up lining. So you're basically an 11 personnel formation with your 21. I would rather have those two because I know Komet is not going to drop a slant or drop
Can I
every fucking ball to him if
can I say
he might not
Loveland
readjust.
Loveland was not a part of the question actually in the first place. That's worth pointing out, but
That's
fine,
my
I
point,
guess.
though. It's different. I agree with you typically, yeah, but the Bears personnel already is able to manage that a lot. Those situations that you're talking about is able to manage those situations a lot better than what you're giving it credit for. Is bid my pushback because of the guys that we have that you can come out in that 21 personnel and make it look like 11, and it doesn't matter, right? Like that's my point. Now, if somebody gets injured, that's where I'm scared. That's all I'm
It
saying.
goes without saying. It goes without saying. I could not disagree more. I would
That's
rather
fair.
have Alameda as a chaos. I'd rather have a practice squad receiver out there than Cole Kmet in that situation because their job is to be corners and there are corners on the field. That's just it. That's all it is for me.
Corners don't cover tight ends, man. You don't want a corner on a tight end. They're
I
too
do.
short.
You don't want Tyreek Stevenson on a tight end because the Bears sure fucking did against the Rams.
The Rams, their tight end doesn't go up. I mean, I've
Tyreek
did they push
Stevenson
person?
covered the Rams tight ends
Did
in
he
the Rams
really
game.
during
Yes.
okay. Unless I've got a guy like what's his name? Like we're about to talk about Malik Muhammad, who is 6'1" and has length, right? I don't want somebody who can't get physical at the point of the catch. Tyreek Stevenson gets physical at the point of the catch. So maybe that does work. But most
Sure.
cornerbacks
And that's
don't.
why I'd like Olamide Zacchaeus being the one trying to beat Tyreek Stevenson instead of Cole Kmet. And again, Tyreek Stevenson is not a very good cornerback. I mean,
No, he
knock
can
on
be.
wood.
He
I hope he will
has
be. But
his volatilities everywhere. And actually Tyreek Stevenson is 6 foot, which corners are usually about 5'10", 5'11". Like,
there's certainly certain corners where if I can get Loveland matched up on that on 3rd and 15, or even Kmet, I might say, all right, let's take our
yeah,
chances on that.
if we're playing the
Let's do that.
Seahawks,
Odds are
if we're playing the
that
Seahawks,
team
we're fucked.
has odds are any team has a corner that can do the same thing Stevenson can do, at least one of them, and match up better.
Yeah, I'm talking about for most games. If we play the Seahawks, we're fucked. I don't know.
I just think at a certain point, you need more guys who are professional cornerback defeaters because there will be cornerbacks on the field the longer you have to go. And you don't, and I think Ben Johnson would agree. He'd rather have somebody who is good at getting open than somebody who can win a jump ball or win with physicality. I mean, he's literally said that. I don't know. Whatever. Down a rabbit hole. You're excited about Malik Muhammad. Now, I will say you were excited about Zot Frazier last year, and he's no longer on the Bears. So
that's
defend
different.
Defend yourself, bitch.
Zot Frazier had whatever reasons for leave. I think at that point, especially when you're a rookie and you miss a full year of football, it's hard to come back from. Right? You see Malik Muhammad there, who I think has better traits.
I was holding out hope for Zah, but I think the writing has just been on the wall for well over a year at this point, or not well, or sorry, well over 9 months at this point. It's just his road back to being trusted or even having a chance of being a good player was just done. So that it sucks because he got more and more interesting the more I read up on him about his last season at UTSA. Yeah, Malik Muhammad, you like him. I'll just say really quick. You probably want to say more about Muhammad, but I'll just say I remember him balling out as a freshman in one of those playoff games, and he was always on my radar. I don't think I mocked him very often, but I did like him. But all you go ahead.
Yeah, so I will say really quickly, he might still end up being talented. It just seems like there's something going on with his personal life. It's hard to get in when he did come back with the team. It's hard to really get reps during once the season actually starts as somebody who's not a starter or at least a backup like that, third or fourth corner. And then at that point too, you come into this one, it's like we got Malik Muhammad, we got somebody who's had that. There might have been stuff in the background with the team. I have no idea why they ended up saying screw it. Outside of they have a lot of quarters. I think they've got, especially with Terrell Smith coming back. What Tyreek Stevenson gives you at least as like a backup corner if he doesn't win the second job.
I think Terrell Smith's roster spot. Like Za Frazier was
Oh, I
the
think
pin
Terrell
that I thought
Smith
was going
is
to drop no matter
yeah.
what. I think Terrell Smith his roster spot might be in jeopardy.
Right,
We
and
got a lot.
because we've got a lot of corners, so yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't think I need to defend the Za Frazier cut as much because of all of the circumstances around it,
No.
like how I felt about him.
I was
Whereas
I was
ugh,
excited. I'm kidding. I was
I
excited
know,
for Za too.
I know,
I
but for
just felt
other,
like his roster spot was in some real jeopardy.
yeah, I thought they would at least take it to the training camp. But I agreed with you that it was either gonna be him or Terrell Smith that got cut. It might end up being both, because you just don't have enough. You have too many corners for not enough spots. But coming back to Malik Muhammad, he is the Dennis Allen corner. This is what Dennis. I skeeted about it. This is what Dennis Allen looks for corners, right? He fits that, like the Paulson Odebo length, speed, speed, quickness, and height, right? Uh that he fits. Whereas I actually I think Zoff Frazier's got more length on like arms, but has less quickness than those two. I might be flipping it, but the no, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what it was when I was looking at the mock draft polls. And he's a damn you brought up his freshman year. Here's the thing that people forget a lot about with cornerbacks being volatile, right? It includes college. We've seen a lot of cornerbacks get drafted who had their last year wasn't as great as like the previous year, and then they end up being studs. I can't think of any on the top of my head, but I've heard that less than a million times. We're like, oh, because we underrated how they ended their career. Well, yeah, that volatility shit happens at corner. It's a
Yeah,
it
I think Kyler's an okay example of that. I think
yeah,
Kyler had a much worse senior year than junior year and fell
yeah.
to the second round.
And when he's healthy, he's an absolute stud. So like,
Jalen's a good example of that too.
yeah. Well, Jalen got hurt his last year, didn't he? Or am I wrong?
That could be. I just remember he was
Yeah.
more highly thought of as a junior and then fell. And
Yeah.
stud.
He had an injury, I think, coming into the draft. Or the injury, I think, is part of the reason why he fell too. I might be mistaken. You might be right, but this happens like that kind of like, and they fall because of it. I think he's going to give, because especially because he's a big scheme fit, which Tyreek Stevenson also kind of fits, not as much, but kind of fits that profile too. Tyreek Stevenson doesn't have the shiftiness that Malik Muhammad does. I think he's going to give Tyreek Stevenson a run for his money. And here's the thing that really sucks, because I really I think Tyreek Stevenson's high end is great. Like I thought he should have been on there instead of Nishan Wright. Nishan Wright got some awesome turnovers. I love him to death for everything that he did for the team. The Eagles game fumble that he created was one of the best plays I've ever seen from like a cornerback in the run game like that, right? At least that I've seen. I'm not a historian in any way. So
it was badass. It was one
awesome.
of the defining moments that I think gets forgotten very easily.
Yeah. So I thank him for that, but I also knew that he was getting his
stripping the tush push. Like that's just like a thing.
I think he was getting his ass handed to him whenever he's found anybody who's I lost you. There you go. Hi. I lost you for a second.
We're very opposite. Hey, we're very opposite. Your internet or mine?
I lost you. I don't know if it was me.
We're out of sync.
Are we?
Can you hear me right now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Your responses are very delayed to me.
Oh, since it's recording on my side, it's gonna be okay, at least for the recording. I'm getting your responses on time. So I don't know what's going on there. But the recording is gonna be good. People listening, you're hearing us talk about this. Thankfully my computer's the one that's recording, so it's getting it locally. So
I can't have a conversation with you as a result.
You might be a little delayed. Just wait till you hear it. It's fine. I think now that people.
Yes, what I'm telling you though is I start talking and saying something, and then you start talking in the middle of me talking because we're delayed, so we can't actually have a natural conversation.
So I just started talking right now, and we're still delayed?
That seemed okay. Can you respond the second I'm done talking, starting now?
Hi.
Okay, seems like we're maybe back on track.
Okay,
that's okay.
Cool. So Malik, coming back to Malik Muhammad, what was I saying before that shit? Anyway, so basically where I'm going is like, Tarek Stevenson should have been starting. I was talking about Nishan Wright. Tarek Stevenson, I think, would have saved us on a lot of the the explosive plays we gave up on defense. Those third and longs that both Nishan Wright kind of had issues with. We gave up a lot of explosives. People are talking about how much we did in the secondary. I don't think people realize, like, our secondary, yeah, we got interceptions and turnovers. It fucking sucked at covering. Like, part of the reason our pass rush sucked, yes, the Packers game, I'll say this, there was no pass rush. We were basically like, Malik Willis was able to sit there for a while. I do think there were times though. Yeah, there were times though where we had pressure coming and we could not cover for shit. Like, because Deshaun Wright just is a slow corner. He's good for what he has athletically. He's just a slow corner. So
Riz was in the booth.
I still think we should have kept Deshaun Wright specifically because it's like, reward the dude, give him a little bit more than what he got. The NFL tells you what they thought of his film. Kind of what I'm saying is not off, basically. Yeah. But reward the dude for the season he gave you and just give him $2 million. God damn it. Like, he deserves it. I would have just done it just to be like, we thank you for last year. You're not going to start.
I think he got 3.5, if I recall correctly, which is way too small, but I think it was 3.5. I will say that was absurdly low. The Bears, I feel like the Bears, even with Brisker, just decided ahead of time that no matter what the number becomes, they're just not interested anymore.
Yeah,
it's like there's always a number.
There was 3.5. I would have given 3.75 to keep him. That's it. Sorry.
It is probably true that if we re-sign Nishan Wright or Brisker, we then don't have Thieneman and Muhammad. So maybe we're better off for having turned down that value. I doubt it, but there's an argument to be made.
I think I'd rather have Thieneman than Brisker. Just for
sure. But would you rather have Brisker?
I would, and I'd rather have
do something else with the first round pick. That's where it gets a little interesting.
Yeah, okay. It depends. There may be like one or two guys I'd probably rather have that. When you start to think about, you lose it from Thiedemann. The hard part though is like Brisker's got to say.
You could have also just drafted Thiedemann and re-signed Brisker.
True. I could use some more safety depth. Although I think our safety depth was better than I thought it was when I went back and looked at it, because we had talked about this specifically because we can have some guys.
Then you could have traded Brisker. Whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But I hear you. The
you certainly want to set yourself up. The Bears always do a pretty subpar job of this under polls, I think, is setting themselves up to, if the draft does not fall how they wanted to, still be happy with your position groups everywhere. And I feel like if the Bears had not found a starting safety in this draft, it would have been trouble.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I
wish they'd do a better job there.
I will say this. I agree with you, and because that's just what you should do. That's smart team building. I will say this: not a lot of teams do that. A lot of teams typically go into the draft with a hole or two. We had a few, but most teams, I'd say the good teams don't. The good teams like the Eagles don't.
But even look at the Steelers this year, for example. The Steelers not a good team. The Steelers had their starting lineup filled out because they did stuff like sign Jaquan Brisker. Like, they had something everywhere.
They have something at linebacker?
Well, if they didn't, they still don't because they didn't draft any. But I think they have Peyton Wilson and Cole Holcomb, I think. I forget who their other linebacker is offhand.
But also the Steelers are ran is going to be a little of an overstatement for them, but they run with the same kind of like the Ravens do and the Eagles technically do, even though the Eagles run very differently and actually have an edge on things.
Patrick Queen and Cole Holcomb.
Okay. Yeah, they're fun there. Safeties? Yeah, so they signed Jaquan. Who else do they have?
Brisker, I don't know who Sean Elliott.
They don't have wide receivers for shit.
Jalen Ramsey will probably play safety, I would imagine.
They don't have wide receivers for shit, though.
Well, no, they had DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman.
And then Pittman, Calvin, right. Never mind.
Calvin Austin.
Calvin Austin is a good third. Yeah, and Ramos. I forgot they got
favorite of mine.
I forgot they had Pittman. I forgot they're good there. They're good there. I'm stupid.
And then ultimately they drafted Jeremy in the second round, but they didn't need to. That's it's just
Offensive line.
they don't have to be, it doesn't have to be good players.
Offensive line,
Offensive
though.
line was shaky, but that could be tough.
Yeah, that's
They
true.
they
That's
they
fair.
found out that
That's fair.
Broderick Jones had like a neck thing like pretty shortly before the draft.
He also sucks.
Oh yeah. But at least
they need
he was a recent first round pick. Like it's not like they neglected it totally.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, fine. But I will say the Steelers are that kind of organization that typically runs well. It just they
Sure,
don't hit on the high end.
they're just an example that I noticed before the draft when I was mocking. It's like, damn, the
Right.
Steelers like have set themselves up that like if they don't get this or this, like they have a guy here.
With the Bills and the Chiefs and the fucking like, there are great teams that still don't do this, that come into the draft with obvious fucking needs.
Sure, the
And
Chiefs came in and exited and are maybe I think the Chiefs need to sign Deebo Samuel or something. Or
yeah,
Stefan Diggs would be a good idea.
so like there are great teams that still always come in with holes. It's just it's something we want, and good teams do this, and the Eagles do it, plus also add value in the ways that the Steelers and Ravens don't, which is why their ceilings are never that high. Because I also think that when you do that, you kind of screw yourself in like taking a risk on a guy at those positions, and are like, oh no, I guess we'll go for, you good. We'll go with
little foot pedal under it. This is Sarah's work desk. It's all cleared off because we're moving, and there's a little like foot pedal, like little peddler underneath, and I had my hand resting on my knees, and I jammed my fucking finger against the bottom of the desk because my leg raised when I pedaled it.
How high does that foot pedal go? Or how low is that desk?
My knee is currently above the desk right now.
That makes more sense now. So I do want to push back a little bit there. Like people do say like, oh, he does go in with obviously every team. A lot of teams do. I shouldn't say every team. A lot of teams do. I point out a bunch, and I already did. Like the Bills definitely needed somebody. Bills roster isn't perfect. Chiefs roster isn't perfect. Bengals roster fucking isn't perfect. Like none of them, all of them had holes, and those are like three teams people always think about. So like I don't know. Coming back to Malik Muhammad, because we've did the Tyreek Stevenson and Sean Wright stuff, I think I'll be able to give him a run for the money. He's a perfect DA scheme fit. I think it'll be a great competition, and honestly, whoever wins that competition, Bears fans win, because all that really means is that Tyreek Stevenson, if he wins it out, Tyreek Stevenson is basically going to be playing great corner that season. With the obvious like couple games probably going to dip, specifically because he has that fire under his ass in the competition and it's going at it. And I think
it's possible. I think it's possible these guys are all just kind of mid, you know. Like I appreciate
that you
like the pick, and I do like the pick, but I think Malik could just be
CB2
a guy. Sure.
Yeah.
It would have been fun. I just got to say though, it would have been fun if we had traded up and drafted Colton Hood. Like then I'd be like, all right, I mean, now that means if Tyreek is started, that means Tyreek is really.
I think between the two, and this is where I wish Frazier was still in the picture, because if I had between the three, I'm like, you're gonna find a good CB2 out of one of them, like because you're multiple dart throws at that one position. I'm not talking about like Jalen Johnson, great, right? Like I'm saying like for your second corner who's got to take on his responsibilities. Plus, if this secondary stays healthy, we saw what a healthy secondary. I think we upgraded everywhere except for maybe Byard, but I think Dienman will be, because he projects to Byard, honestly, will eventually get there. It's just he's a rookie, so I don't want to like say that. I think the secondary is a better version of what we saw in the secondary against the Bills when they were finally healthy and Jalen Johnson was feeling more comfortable after a couple games back from his injury.
The Bills?
Not the Bills. No. Sorry. Fucking Rams. Jesus.
Oh, so like, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And that is something it comes back to. Yeah. And that comes back to, again, your pass rush is going to suck because in those obvious pass situations, we're not covering for shit. And it was, yes, there were, I know for a fact the Green Bay game frustrated the fuck out of me because of the pass rush specifically. But we got interceptions and we had the turnover luck. We were giving up explosives so often in structure, right? Like that, you want a quick sack happens within 2.5 seconds. Quick sacks aren't easy to get. It feels like people are talking about our defensive line like we can't even get the sack within 3 in every game. I think right now we're going to be able to cover. There were times where we weren't even able to cover for like 2.5 seconds. I really like what we've done with the secondary. I am a fan of building defenses back to front, which is a thing that analytics has shown is better, specifically because it's so much easier to hit on those positions. Where like your defensive ends, your edge rushers, again, coming back to it, if you miss horribly. And on top of that, a secondary is very reliant on weakest link, especially like add the linebackers to that. Your coverage units are a weakest link, whereas the fronts are if you got a guy or two that can win, you just need one of those guys to win. Typically, you want them to win as a pass rush unit, right? They rush and sync, rush as a team, and then that way, if somebody misses, the other guy's there to clean up, and you collapse the pocket. Doesn't always happen. Not a lot of teams have that, or not a lot of teams have like a really good, reliable second or third defensive end anyway, or edge rusher, I should say, specifically to rush the passer. So what I'm trying to get at here is when you have like and Nahshon Wright wasn't when we were at least able to have like Nahshon Wright and Tyreek Stevenson and Kyler Gordon on the field, it was a lot better than it was when say Kyler was out or Stevenson was not Tyreek Stevenson. Yeah, sorry. When we had what's his name?
Can we just call this what it is? Nick McLeod is not on the team anymore. So
McLeod,
we're better.
When McLeod was out there, you could fucking 100% see how bad it was. Like we were just screwed. Our defense got absolutely wrecked.
Because the truth of the matter is,
so many.
You're right. You're maybe going a tiny bit long.
Too long.
With
the
point. Nahshon, I would say the positives that Nahshon was able to produce, whether lucky or not, did outweigh the negatives. But the negatives were quite irritating when you needed to stop and you couldn't get. I agree with that. Now we have a more well-rounded, skilled secondary, and it might lead to worse results because the turnover luck might not be there. But going forward, this is a better group.
It is going to lead to more consistency.
And adding a younger depth guy like this with more upside than Wright probably has at this point in his career is a good move.
Yep. And it's going to lead to more consistency. It's going to lead to us being able to handle those injuries, especially because Terrell Smith. The one thing is we were unlucky we lost Terrell Smith so early last year. And if he's able to still keep on the roster, plus we have other corners too. And we'll be able to handle this. Yep. And Jalen's also healthy. Kyler. Yeah, we were down 4 corners. Like I don't know what people were expecting. Like we were down. We were down.
I forget who the fourth was. I forget who the fourth was. I don't think it was Zah. I think there was another guy that got hurt too.
Okay, so we were. I mean, we were definitely down Zah. We were down Terrell Smith. We were down Kyler, and we were down Jalen. And then there were times where
Sean and Stevenson and Nick McLeod was our nickel in game 1.
Yep. And then I know that didn't Tyreek get hurt for a little bit, and then he eventually didn't come back in.
I think Tyreek got hurt, and that's why Nahshon probably stayed. I can't say with confidence.
Shoot, who are our starting corners? Because I feel like Nahshon beat out Tyreek for a spot, but Jalen was out. So now I'm like,
I think Tyreek originally had actually beaten out Nahshon, but Nahshon played because Jalen was hurt, and then the expectation was that when Jalen comes back, Nahshon will be benched. But then Nahshon was so, and I think Nahshon is. I don't want to qualify. I think Nahshon was a good corner last year.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be a dick. It's just he's good depth. I don't want him as.
I think he earned the starting spot over Tyreek, even though Tyreek was probably technically the better corner. Nahshon was just making so many plays that to drastically affect games that.
It's also that Kyler was out. Kyler was out for like 12 weeks, so like you saw a lot of issues. Like that Bengals game, we were down to not having Kyler and not having Jalen. So you have Nahshon Wright, who again, I'm giving Nahshon Wright too much shit when I shouldn't be, when it's really just the factor of all the injuries. Right?
That's what I said. That's why I interrupted you to say, like, let's call it what it is. Nick McLeod won't be on the field anymore.
Yeah.
Even Kyler will get hurt again, if history's any indication. This year we have Cam Lewis, who's our third safety and our backup nickel, most likely. That's a much better setup than having Nick McLeod anywhere near the team. Like, it's all. It all feels more healthy back. It all feels more healthy of a sustainable thing back there.
But we will be better on third down stops, specifically because of the fact that on those like obvious passing downs where we didn't get those stops that people get super frustrated, and even having the 1 week link, whereas sometimes you can get away with it, right? Sometimes it leads to the interceptions that we had, but you're going to giving up those explosive plays on like third and 10, third and 8. Were something that kept happening, and it helps a lot more that we have a lot of more consistency. And you're taking the bet that Deshaun Wright, thank you for all of the turnovers. Amazing. And honestly, again, I wish we had kept him because he just deserved it for how well he played last year to just be rewarded with like giving him some money. Because like we're paying for last year's production, it's fine, right? But we don't project you to be there. But coming back to it, it's more of a what I'm really trying to say is we're going to see this defense in the way that we saw it, maybe not against the Rams, but even the Packers the first playoff game, towards the end of it. This The first half was awful, but the second half you started to see that defense starting to come together. And I think that's when um it with everybody coming back from injuries, like Kyler and Jalen still trying to trust the stuff, I think you started to see them get back into sync and Dennis Allen find his rhythm as a because I Dennis Allen find his rhythm as a defensive play caller with the unit the way that it was coming from being a defensive play caller with the personnel that was very vanilla that he had to call for. He had to call a vanilla scheme because you can't trust all the corners that you have. He started to really start to trust them again. Is what I'm trying to get at there. Anyway, that's all I'm saying. Let's go back to it.
So that was our 4th round pick.
Yeah. How long have we been going for? Shit.
We've been going pretty long. Keyshawn Elliott, linebacker, was our next pick. I don't think we have a lot to say about that.
He's supposed to be a good value pick there. I don't know shit about Keyshawn Elliott. I haven't looked into it. When I looked at the prospect, it looks like a good pick. I'm glad we got a linebacker. We have a lot of linebackers, man. Like I thought this was going to be an issue.
That's the one thing I'll say. We really do have a lot of linebackers. I'm not sure. You're certainly not going to keep more than 6. I look at it, and I don't. There's 4 locks. Maybe TJ Edwards starts the season on PUP, but he's not expected to, but maybe. But so Devin Bush, TJ Edwards, and DeMarco Jackson are starting 3 in base. One would assume.
Do you think Jack Sanborn might beat out DeMarco Jackson? No. I think DeMarco Jackson looked like a stud.
I've never liked Jack Sanborn. I never have. Not for a second. I've never been a fan.
I think he plays the game smart. I do think he has his limitations, but he is a smart linebacker, which is why he's done as well as he has in the league.
I think he should be on this roster. I've never been a fan of his.
He's a great backup. That's fantastic backup. I still think he's a perfectly fine starter. As your like 3rd when you're in base, but go on.
Yeah, so the rest of it. So those 4 are locks to make the team. The 3 starters, and Jackson didn't receive nothing as a re-signing, which I'm kind of happy about because I really liked DeMarco Jackson last year. Just kind of out of nowhere, played really well. So those are the 4 locks, and there's a world in which you only keep 5 linebackers, maybe 6, probably 6. And then the rest are Ruben Hippolyte, Noah Sewell, Jack Sanborn, and also Nephi Sewell. And so you got to pick 2 of those. And I just got to say, to us, I think the obvious, kind of the easy call is maybe just release both Sewells.
Yeah.
But why bring in another Sewell?
Yeah, that is a weird thing.
Them both. That feels weird. That feels like you want to get more into the Sewell business.
Well, it also feels like a favor almost to like it's either that you're getting more into the Sewell business, but also sometimes it's a favor to a player that you like, right? Is when you sign the brother. And
so DA was Nephi's head coach in New Orleans.
That's right.
Also, Noah was the starting linebacker for most of until he got hurt. So
his issues have been injured. I like Noah Sewell coming out. He's been injured like his whole career, right? Like, what season has he been healthy for? Outside of maybe I think he was hurt his rookie year too.
Are you saying Sewell?
Noah Sewell specifically. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been hurt.
He got hurt. I just feel like he didn't play because there were other linebackers. Maybe he was hurt.
Double check.
I mean, Sanborn started over him.
Well, he was hurt his rookie year.
The Sandbacker over Sewell.
He was hurt his rookie year. He definitely was hurt his rookie year, and then he was
Okay.
and then I remember he was hurt. What year did I go to training camp? Was that was last year? He was out during camp that year, if I remember. So 2025, Sewell had a. No, let me see this. Keep going. Keep talking.
Well, I
Where
just
were you
want to
going?
say, I just think this is reading a lot into it, but I think it makes some sense. If you sign Nephi Sewell, it doesn't feel like you're like, okay, we're releasing all of the Sewells that are not Penny in the league. What seems more likely is that the guys whose spots maybe are in jeopardy now are Hippolyte, who I thought played pretty well before he got hurt in his kind of one game of action. And then maybe just Sanborn. Like maybe Sanborn gets cut. I think I don't know. There's a lot of linebackers. You can't keep all 7 of these guys. Nuffy you could release, but like you release both Sewells just seems weird to me.
It is a weird thing, but it's got like, I mean, I think Hippolyte stays. I think Keyshawn Elliott probably beats out them. Sanborn's got to stay. So like, who else could it be? Like, it's got to be the Sewells. It's just a weird thing, though. You're right. I just picked them automatically, but I'm like, now that you really say that, I should have that should have hit registered.
Why bring in his brother to cut them both? That's just weird to me.
I don't. Maybe I mean it might have been like we don't overhang a Keyshawn Elliott, and then we'll figure it out from there. Maybe we keep 7. Maybe we have some. I don't know.
That's pretty tough to
you've
justify
got
when
you
only really use 2 at a time.
Well, you got special team. A lot of them are special teamers, man.
Yeah, but how many linebackers play on? That's usually only have like a couple guys playing.
Well, Hippolyte is fast enough that like you can think of him as like a safety for the special teams. Since I think after Elijah Hicks, and I think we've got one more. We don't really have too many safeties, and typically want to go.
I mean, Cam and Elijah both play special teams. I
Yep.
don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'd certainly rather use the defensive line for the extra roster spots as we carry than linebacker when these guys are all kind of the same to me.
Yeah, that's fair.
It also ultimately doesn't matter. The starters barely matter, to be honest, so let alone the backups. But I don't know. As for Keyshawn Elliott, I like that he's a former quarterback. I like that he seems very smart. He's productive. It seems like he has some issues in coverage. Just kind of a standard 5th-round linebacker that you probably could have done something else. But maybe
you remember
another.
Sewell? Sorry, go on. Maybe he's another what?
No, I don't have much to say, but like maybe he's another TJ Edwards type guy, like or even the Marco Jackson type guy. Just like the sum of the parts, or the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, and he ends up being a good life. Who knows? Who cares?
You remember Sewell tearing his Achilles in December? He tore his Achilles. Okay, I did not remember that. So I mean,
maybe he's a pup guy. Maybe he's a pup guy.
He's a pup guy. Yeah, he's obviously a pup guy because Achilles is going to take a year, isn't it? There's no way he's going to be back in 9 months. It's an Achilles year. It's not.
Yeah, I guess that's probably right.
Yeah. Anyway,
I thought maybe he did it earlier than December.
It was he got put on to IR in January 1st. It was like December 20 something. Is what the articles are saying. So December 29th, after the 49ers game.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, he'd been usurped by Jackson as a starter by that point. That's what
I mean. Jackson's good, so
seems like it. Okay. Final pick, they trade both 7th-rounders to move up for Jordan Van Denberg. It seems like they really do have a lot invested in I don't know if that's the right word. It seems like they really liked him. They like him. They liked him enough to trade up for him, which is more than you could say about most 6th, 7th-round pick types. Seems like he's got an inside track to a roster spot.
The little things that I've seen from OTAs so far is he's got like a very quick first step and has looked really good. So what you consider. I will say this is the exact bet that I think you and I would have wanted to make in the sense of like traitsy is all hell, raw is all hell.
Sure, it's the type of thing that I'm
now white dude from South Africa. I'm a little thrown off on because I'm really hoping a lot of kidding. I'm hoping he's
He
Not like
used his
Elon.
NIL. I don't know what we're doing here, but I will say
Not
this.
racist as shit, because a lot of white people from
he-
South Africa are racist as shit. That's what I'm trying to say here. Go on.
He
I doubt he is, though.
I think
hope
his
the
family
Bears would
has
know that.
money. I think his family has money. I know he used his NIL money to open a laundromat, and he was talking about how he wanted just passive income. He wouldn't have to do anything. He just wanted passive income, so he opened a laundromat with his NIL money.
I don't know if you know this. So growing up, my dad owned a laundromat on the south side in Hazel Crest. And not a business I'd want to get into. He bought it cheap, and he bought a strip mall down there, and then the laundromat guy left because it wasn't making money. So he ended up having to take it over. Not exactly a business you care to. It just doesn't make as much as people probably think it does. Sorry, go on.
I don't think I would. Wait, a laundromat is different than a. I just realized what the fuck is a laundromat actually?
Laundromat is like
dry cleaner.
Laundromat is where you go in and there's actual washers and dryers, because not every
So
place
it's just
has.
okay. It's
Yeah.
a place that Never mind. I was
Yeah.
thinking dry cleaner until this very second. I was like, no, that laundromat is just you put your quarters in. Oh, that's why I was saying it kind of runs itself. You don't really need people there. You need like people to fix the machines if they break, and then you need like one guy at the front desk.
You got to
I guess,
collect.
right?
Yeah, you got to collect the quarters. You got to make sure that like we had vending machines. You got to stock up. I had to go. My dad for a bit was in Iraq as a translator. So I used to have to make the trip down there to go collect, go like maintain it every couple days. My dad actually used to go every day. I mean, he just enjoyed being.
But that's just like one guy. Like you could have like 3 employees.
Yeah, you don't
right?
you don't need anything. You don't need any employees, because you have the soap dispensers and stuff like that. It is a self-running business for the most part. Outside of probably wanting one person there just in case somebody needs help. There are going to be complaints, right? Where they're like, hey, this ate my quarters. You want to be able to get them back, like their money, if they jack up. So you have to find a system in which you can, especially with people that are there, often get it back to them if you're not there. So anyway, go on.
Whatever though. That's the most interesting thing about him instead of his football playing. But he's a big he's a big RAS guy, and whatever.
Former rugby player from South Africa who didn't start when he went to Penn State. So like a couple years there. I know that's a knock, but it's like, dude, Penn State sounds is going to get a lot of defensive linemen that are really good. So even with the athletic traits, because he doesn't have any playing time coming into it, and those other ones do, it's going to be hard for him to get on the field and get even enough practice reps to like get good. It looks like he did well at Georgia Tech. I mean, this is the dart throw that I'd want to do, is a guy who's not got who's still very raw, probably doesn't have a lot of coaching outside of those years in college. He doesn't have like years of it, but is an insane athletic freak. Maybe you can get something out of him.
Yeah, I again, fine swing to take. Neither of us is going to know much about it, but like, yeah, you look at that RAS, and the most I could say is the fact that they traded up for him, and they're not super deep at DI tells me that I think they plan for him to make the active roster rather than the practice squad. That's all I got here.
Yeah, I think with me,
and I think his accent is charming. Unlike Elon, who sounds I want to. Who cares, Elon? That's not on the public record. But I think his accent is charming.
I'll say this: if he's not on the roster in 2 years, I won't be shocked. If he ends up being a stud, I won't be shocked, just because of the
I'll be extremely shocked if he's a stud. But
not stud, but you know what I mean. Like he's yeah. If he like is like a stud, like an elite one, that's sweet.
I feel like we're due for that. I feel like a lot of teams do get.
And the Eagles are trying again.
Random sixth rounder becomes a guy. I feel like we very seldom have a sixth rounder become like a real fucking guy. I think we're due for one.
Eagles had drafted another. Was he an Aussie rugby player? He's a rugby player. They're trying to go the Mailata route again. I don't remember what position he plays, but they took him in like the 7th round. If they hit again on that, man, we need to start like one. It'll really suck if they hit and we don't. And I know ours is a little different because he's got some college snaps, but it'll be wild. I hope we're due for it. We'll see. I'm excited. It's more exciting to me than like, I don't know, most of the
Uwar
DTs.
Bernard.
Yeah,
He's from Nigeria.
I think I'm more. I mean, I not like I knew Jordan Vanderberg coming into this, but into this draft, I'm more excited for this pick than probably any DTs we could have taken after Big Citrus went. I don't know. So I like the pick. We'll see. It's like a pick for 6th round pick, right? A back end of the 6th round pick.
Uwar Bernard did not play rugby. He, in fact, played no sports at all until he was 16 when he started playing basketball in Nigeria.
Oh, I
And
was
then
way off.
he took off. He took up football a little bit. I don't think in any organized way, but he got drafted because of his
He's like an insane athlete, isn't he?
He ran a 4.63 40-yard dash at 6'5", 306.
Yeah, he's massive.
39-inch vertical. Holy shit.
Yeah, he's the athleticism is nuts.
He must really not be able to shoot a basketball because 39-inch vertical, 4.63. He was already playing basketball. That's
how tall is he?
Only 6'5", but
yeah, it might have something to do with it.
That seems like a power forward to me.
Well, power forwards are like 6'7", aren't they? It doesn't matter. But
I mean,
no, yeah, 6'5".
Ideally a power forward 6'10", but
he's also 305 pounds. That might have a lot to do with it.
Charles Barkley was 6'5".
Well, and Charles Barkley's probably pretty heavy. He was skinny during his playing days, but I don't know.
Sure. I had clearly more of a football body, but oh my god, I just saw pictures of him shirtless. Holy cow!
How do you spell his name?
Uar Bernard.
I didn't hear it, so I just figured I asked how to spell it. All right, here. Anyway, so holy shit! When you said 305, I thought like that. What position is he playing?
He's listed as a DT.
Jesus Christ, that's all muscle. I figured, like, little looser.
Not an ounce of fat.
Holy
shit! That is wild.
Shit.
Well, we got Jordan Van Denberg, so at least ours has played football before.
I think I'd rather. Is that a good thing?
No,
considering it's
kind of contrary to the whole. Yeah. Kind of contrary to the entire like second round DE before. Like, just take this thing. This guy could be anything.
Jesus.
Wow.
I mean, they both could be anything, but this guy has more chances of being anything.
That's the draft. We signed Miller Moss. I don't care. We signed Jaden Loving. I don't really care about that either.
We're all white.
I never really care about Pols's whatever his
UDFAs. He's had some good ones.
UDFAs.
I mean, we've got Barnett, agent Jack Sanborn.
Caden Barnett has some kind of vaguely racist nickname, doesn't he? The vanilla gorilla.
Vanilla gorilla, yeah.
All
right.
That's another UDFA that we got.
He's supposedly pretty good offensive guard to pick up as a UDFA. I mean, again, for a UDFA.
People thought he was going to be drafted, so sure.
Yeah. I guess that's what I really mean is like for a UDFA, it's like it's a guy that you thought would have gotten drafted and stuff like that. So like there's that. Yeah. We'll see.
Those are the three guys that some people think have a chance of making the roster. I don't really see it, but whatever.
Yeah, I didn't think we'd go. We had a lot of time that we were talking about like other NFL stuff in between this. But I think we go this long. Let's quickly give it a grade. What was the grade that you gave it?
It's gonna be weighted first round, second round. It's gonna be weighted in order. Like third round, I'm not gonna dock it too much, but the third round was pretty bad for me when it's too. I'm not gonna say wasted 2 third round picks, but value wise, I didn't like either of them. But then I like Muhammad, so I think I'd give it like a B minus, probably a B.
Yeah, I'd probably give it a B plus maybe. Just hold on, let me think about this. So I definitely am giving the first round an A because Dylan Thieneman is you come out with him or with Caleb Banks. Caleb Banks would get probably a minus on it. It's an A.
I think we start like A plus Thieneman, I already gave it.
Yeah.
I'd probably go like A minus Logan Jones, just because I don't know, maybe you could move it around. You could argue
Yeah.
that center is not really a
But you also have the
25-year-old
trade
center,
back.
but I'm personally a fan, so I give it an A
Yeah.
minus. I think that's
You also
fair.
have the trade back too, which I think is good value for where that was. I think we both wanted them to trade back in that second round pick.
But then I think I
And
go like D plus with Roush, F with Thomas, uh, you know, solid B plus with Muhammad, a C with Elliott, and then whatever C
yeah.
plus, B minus with Van Denberg.
So I'm gonna go A plus, A minus, B plus for Logan Jones, just because center not to, but again I've already defended that pick really well. To say that I do really like it. To be, and then Sam Roush, I'm actually gonna give, because that is where I would have wanted Cole Kmet to go, and now I've talked myself into it, in which I'm gonna give that a B plus. I'm gonna give Xavier Thomas, because I can't get behind the fact that like the draft. I might eat crow for this. It's an F. I know I defended it because of Ben Johnson, and I'm happy that they got who he wanted, right? And when I give this grade, I'm not trying to say they shouldn't have picked it if you really wanted him that bad, but it's still an F just
You
because
can
of
just
value wise. It's an F because of
give it,
value wise.
just
Like,
give the
I'm
grade.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
And then what's it called? Keyshawn Elliott or Malik Muhammad is an A. I mean, you've already heard me talk about it. Keyshawn Elliott's probably like a B because I just don't know anything about him, but it sounds like people really like him. And then just an end of 6th round pick with a lot of traits. But now that I just saw the other year, Bernard, I was gonna give it an A because who the fuck cares? It's a 6th round pick and you keep taking a shot. Now I'm gonna have to give it I'm gonna have to drop it a lower grade because you could have Bernard. So B.
Big UR Bernard fans on this podcast.
Watch it. Be like nothing. Who was the one guy from what is that school called? He was absolutely jacked. I think he was a defensive end too. They have green jerseys, a college football Baylor. The guy from Baylor years ago who, when he would come up as like a captain, he'd have his shirt tucked in, he'd rock hard abs.
Oh, Sean Oakman.
Yeah, watch it be Sean Oakman.
Oh, I think Sean Oakman didn't make it because he raped somebody. So I think we're probably
really hoping that he's
not going to be Sean Oakman.
Is that really what?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's got a few things now with the CFL too. Jesus Christ, I did not know that about this guy. Take that back. I only just remembered that one image. Really hope that UR Bernard is a fantastic person.
Yes.
I'm dumb. Anyway, I think that wraps up the draft. I'm not going to give it a full letter grade because I'd have to think about how those all work out, because it ends up being a lot higher just because Thieneman and Logan Jones plus Malik Muhammad, I think, really outweighs that Xavier Thomas. I'd probably be a B plus.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, cool. I'm Adam. That's Kev. Thank you for sliding into Virginia's DMs.
Bye.